Hello and welcome to Missed Checkpoints, the video game book club podcast. Today we're wrapping up our discussion of Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. I'm your host Marcus, and joining me today as always are the homies. First off we have Dante.
What's good, guys?
Next we have Trevor.
I want all the smoke. I know it's coming.
It's coming. And then last but not least we have the homie Greg. Got some of the smoke coming out. First off, I want to say I have been recovering. I was a little under the weather, and I have a little bit of chest congestion and a cough, so bear with me. Hopefully it doesn't come through. But let's get going into wrapping this game up. So last we left off, Riddick had just got transferred to the double max security area, and we got to see that little cutscene where you can kind of see like it's a lot more secure there, and there was literal prisoner killing another prisoner, and then that killer prisoner getting gunned down by the wall-mounted turret camera guns. So it's a little bit more secure here. So this beginning intro section that we're at is Tower 17, and so it starts off and you got to start off in that little cell and you get to walk out and explore, and here you get to like the Tower 17 base and you can kind of explore and meet a bunch of new NPCs in like the prison setting that we had in the first part of the game. And here you get instructed that in order to advance, you need to get into it with the guards. And Dogbone, one of the convicts, he basically says either you can A, get caught with drugs, or B, fight in ring against Bam. So those are your two options in order to get into it with the guards. So I think at this point you can't advance any further. There's literally a guy blocking your path, and you get to challenge him to a ring fight, and this is the introduction to the ring fight stuff. And basically the rules are simple. If you get knocked out the ring, you lose. If you die, you lose. So the only way to win is to kill your opponent. And this is, like I said, it's a double max prison, so it's super secure, and it's basically hand-to-hand combat, at least in this early part. So what you guys think going back to the hand-to-hand combat, like immediately after that last section we covered?
I don't know, it's like so weird that they're cool with everybody just throwing hands just in the middle of this prison like that, just like right there, like, hey, it's all good, man.
It's really weird because like when you're outside of the ring, like literally if you swing, you get shot, you get gunned down by the turrets. Like there's a whole bunch of signage like painted on the walls, like no talking and blah blah this and that, and like literally if you punch outside of combat, you'll get gunned down. But it's fine to have these ring fights. Like,
you have to get consent.
There's sanctions.
The guy specifically says, "Oh, you need to get this guy's approval to die."
But then it's just weird because then you have that guard on the side that he's like just literally standing at a door, and if you bribe him with some money, then you can he'll turn his his eye the other way, and you can go in and heal yourself up. And it's like, oh, so like you guys can literally see me punch the wall and gun me down, but you don't see me paying this guard in order to what's good with that?
They're sanctioned fights.
What, sanctioned bribery too?
And
who knows? He might be getting a kickback from the
cameraman,
dog fighter dude.
Maybe.
Humans.
I don't know if everybody else was kind of bothered by having to do this over and over, but I was pretty much over the combat at this point, and I was just annoyed every single time I had to go back and fight somebody.
But that's why they gave you options to progress.
I guess that's true.
They give you options, but like you at least have to do the first, so with the ring fight, you end up having to fight like if you go that option in order to fight against Bam, you fight like 4 people before you fight Bam, and the way that's doled out is so the first guy is blocking your path to the rest of Tower 17. So you have to defeat him first to get access to the rest of Tower 17. And then from then on, like whenever you want to do another fight, the guy he'll say, "Oh, you need to go fight so and so." Like so it goes from Harmon to Basim to Sawtooth, Kusa, and then Bam. So you have to find those characters in the Tower 17. Just basically they could be in the rec area, the work pass, or the feed hall. So you get to kind of explore the prison and find them, and you get to meet a lot of the other characters. And I mean, yeah, you don't have to do the fighting. I don't know. Like it just depends on how much money you have at this point. Which Trevor was right. There is money in this game because I sure as hell didn't realize that there was money until this halfway through the game.
I was trying to figure out the other way. I think it's you have to buy drugs, right? Isn't that what it was? And
you have to buy drugs, and then there's a specific doorway that there's a like a guard leaned up against.
Yeah, there's 2. I thought there was 2 guards that kind of pat you down and check to see if you're holding anything.
If you're holding drugs, they don't care if you're holding weapons.
Oh, I didn't even try that. I remember they got me one time, but that was before I got a shiv.
oh, okay, so I even remember that section. I couldn't figure out why they kept doing that, and I was just getting frustrated trying to figure out how to get the drugs, and it was just like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to keep throwing hands until this is over with.
So did everybody opt to do the ring fighting to progress?
Yeah, I did.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mainly did it to see like what the difficulty would be like as it progressed.
I mean, it did get increasingly difficult, but like I don't think really
Did it though?
Yeah.
I would say
they block a lot more.
Like the first 2 guys, it's hand to hand, like they're fighting you fist, but I think the last 2 guys they use weapons, and I think at that point you technically, like by the second fight, you technically have a weapon, but
yeah,
like
because
Trevor
I think
said, they block more.
And at one point, one of the fights, the enemy drops a weapon, so you can easily pick it up even during the fight.
I think I had gotten the shiv before I even did the first fight. I couldn't remember, or maybe I did the first fight, then I got a shiv after.
Yeah, you can't get a shiv until after you get
okay
to the rest
That's
of Tower
what it was.
17. So yeah. But yeah, so once you open up you do that first fight, you open up the rest of Tower 17. You can kind of meet a lot of the other prison characters that they have spread out. So they have like a guy that sells shivs, a guy that rolls dice. There's a guy that has info on the prison. There's mines underneath the prison that they send. I guess this section of the prison they send people to work in the mines underneath the prison. There's like religious zealots that have, they want you to do specific things. Like these guys are basically not only characters, but they're like doling out quests as well. So like there's guys that wants you to kill all the blue skins, which are like the guard or the prisoners that are tatted up with blue tattoos all over. There's a money loaner. There's a guy that wants you to find somebody in the mines. There's guys that are missing specific items. There's some traders.
Okay, I got a question.
What's up?
Did anybody do any of these intentionally?
I did a few of them because I thought that was how I had to progress at first, and then I was like, well, this isn't going anywhere, and that's when I ended up just going to try to follow up on the drug thing, which again I couldn't figure out that, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna keep fighting and see what happens.
I did it as a means to get money because at this point, like once it became apparent that money was a thing in this game, I was like, I'm assuming me doing these quests will earn me money, and I will need money later on in the game. So I did like a handful of. I didn't do them all, but I did. I would say 75% of them.
I did them all.
I'm
not gonna lie.
Did you have it?
Skipped every last one.
Did you have a like a guide, or were you able to find everything, or did you have to?
No, I just talked to people.
Wow. I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing something with this game because it would just seem Like maybe there's some contextual things we're just not picking up on in this game, but it seems like they don't really give you a good idea on like.
Well, it's difficult when every single area in this point looks the exact same. Did anybody else get lost just trying
to
yeah.
I just looked at the big letter on the middle of the floor.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Trevor on that. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it was just kind of like I at a point I was like, okay, there's 4 sections here. This I just kind of remembered a key character that you constantly had to talk to because I think maybe because you didn't get any of the quests, maybe that's why. But I was constantly like, okay, I got to go turn in this quest, turn in this quest, so I knew who was where by the time I was done here.
And of course, it's gonna look monotonous. You know, it's a prison. You ever been to prison?
Man, you can't use that as everything.
Are you reneging your original statement about not going to prison?
Yeah, I've been to prison.
I'm just assuming, you know, everybody doesn't get a choice of decor.
Hey, man, you might be able to decorate Tower D, you know, so...
I think some of my other frustration with just navigating was just the fact that there's so many load times, and even though they're only like a few seconds, they just kind of eventually just added up to like oh my god.
Were you playing on 360?
Yeah.
Did you load the game onto your hard drive?
Yeah, I did the download.
Really? So, it was still taking you a long time?
Yeah, I felt like the load times between areas was like maybe 5 seconds or something like that. Which again,
oh man, I thought you were talking like 25 seconds.
You gotta remember he's a P or
I mean,
it's for casual.
In 2018, you know, that is a pretty long time.
I mean, it is, but like if you know where you're, I'm not saying Greg didn't know where he's going, but like if
I definitely didn't.
If you're going there with a purpose, like you're not seeing that screen a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going back and forth. Like, oh, I went the wrong place. I got to go back through this door.
I did that a lot.
Oh well, I don't know. I'm gonna tell you then. But
there is because I was completing all those quests though.
With that too, yeah. There is a guy that you meet one of the characters that is a junkie, and he does make drugs for you, and you can buy the drug in this game. It's called G-Smack, and if you buy that from him, and you get patted down by the guards, you can kind of quickly get to the Bam fight, and either way, like you'll have to fight Bam, and after you defeat him, a cutscene triggers where Abbott and some guards walk into Tower 17, and basically Abbott, like, I mean, Riddick just plays the Riddick character like, oh, did you miss me, and all that, and then Abbott starts clubbing Riddick for not only killing Bam, which I guess the guards were like kind of like he's their cash cow, but also kind of beating him for their previous encounter when he, you know, almost killed him. And can you explain this? Is that Shira, Trevor?
Yeah.
So like Riddick gets beaten and he's on his knees, and then you hear this voice telling him, the woman's voice, Shira, basically telling Riddick to kind of set his fury free, and he unleashes like a primal scream, and it sends all the guards surrounding him like flying away, and the Force kind of sends Abbott like through a door into a small security room. And when he gets
and he's literally talking about the Force at this point because it was 100% Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. And Abbott gets up, and Riddick and him have to fight close quarters combat, and this is another hand-to-hand fight, kind of like your one against Rust in the beginning, where you're in like a small room, just fist fighting. And I guess like did anybody have an issue with this fight compared to the Rust fight? Or was it any easier, any harder?
I honestly can't remember.
He went down pretty fast.
You're talking about Abbott, right?
Yeah, Abbott.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in what they did to Exhibit.
I was disappointed, but I was wondering, like, do you think that because the fact that we all had, like, basically trained to do this fight, you know, by doing the ring fight option, that it was just easier and like it would have been a lot.
Nah, I was mashing, dude.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I kind of thought Bam was more difficult than Abbott. So
yeah. And I guess it's because it's a part of the story too. They couldn't make it too difficult.
Both are part of the story. Either method you choose, you have to fight Bam.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because the rule is if you get caught with drugs, then you have to fight against Bam. If I'm not mistaken. So either way, you have to fight him. So you fight Bam, then Abbott. But once you kill Abbott, you get his security card, and there's another one of those chairs that gives you a health square. Did you get one this time, Dante?
Yes, I actually got the previous one too.
Okay,
kind of verified that. I thought I skipped it, but I might have died and then did it the second time.
Gotcha.
I also think it's worth mentioning that this is pretty much like the last real fist-to-fist fight you have in the game, I'd like to say. You don't really do that much hand-to-hand after that. It's mostly stealth.
There's one other part that I can think of.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. And it's not even a fist-to-fist fight. It's just a part where you don't have a weapon. So, and it's not a stealth part, but, we'll talk about it. But once you get his card, then you can gain access to the power central. And once you get in there, you get into a room, and there are guards patrolling the area, and there's crates and shadows, and holy crap, guys, this is a stealth game. Holy crap. Did you guys see this coming? Did they advertise this as a stealth game on the box?
Y'all doubted it. Oh, ye of little faith.
From the reviews, I remember them saying there was a lot of stealth, and I remember that part 1 episode we did, I was like, what was everybody smoking when they played this game?
I found it.
Now it's all like coming full circle, everything's starting to make sense.
Yeah. All the smoke.
So, wait. So, personally, it's not exactly what I wanted, but it was good enough. So I was wrong. I'm man enough to say, Trevor, my apologies. Part 1 was not a stealth game at all, but part 2, I see it. Now whether it's good, we can talk about that.
I was about to get to that.
So yeah, there's these guards patrolling this area. You basically you can choose to take them out or not take them out. It doesn't really matter. And then you just find a vent and you just continue to climb along. And a lot of this upcoming parts is basically you sneaking along. I think you only have a shiv at this point and maybe a club. So those are your only 2 weapons, no guns. And there's just a lot of guards and a lot of light so you have to like get behind crates or stay in the shadows. And how do you guys feel about these next couple of sections?
I hated it.
I loved it.
Wow.
I hated it.
See, this type of gameplay is really what scared me from playing this game for so long. It's because, like I said, I've never been into stealth games for real. And this part is where they really put you in situations where you have to be stealthy. Like, you don't have a weapon, so there's multiple paths, but you only have one option as far as progressing.
It's like, it fakes it, like, at least in the beginning part, it's like, oh, there's so many different ways you can do this, but you don't have the weapons to do it, so you have to do it this way. And it kind of like is disappointing, especially with these melee weapons. Like, there's no way to deal with lights, so it's basically like I ran my head into a couple of situations where it was just kind of like, do I need to take everybody out in this room, or can I get by them without doing it? And like, I felt like a lot of times I had to like run up on dudes and quickly take them out, and I don't know, like, it's not my preferred way of doing stealth.
Like that that first section, once you start heading down the mine, I guess
the hallway from the elevator.
I think so. And there's like a mech.
Oh wait, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
It took me like at least 30 minutes to finally figure out what to do there, and I just kept beating my head against the wall. Like, what do I do? Like, and I don't know. It could just been. I still had an issue with the game just being too dark, and I could never really figure out what it was other than like cranking like the gamma all the way up to help. But it was just like sometimes I just couldn't tell what I was doing in the dark or where I was supposed to go.
Did you use the Eyes of Riddick?
Yeah, I was,
Okay,
and it still was like too dark.
That might actually have been a TV in combination with your game.
It might have been, to be honest, but yeah, it was. There was a lot of like situations where I just couldn't tell exactly where I needed to go.
So
Like, I will admit that first section was really annoying with the mech and the like. I think there was 2 guards in that one.
there,
room.
yeah.
Yep.
See, I didn't have a problem there because like there's a stack of crates to the left side, so like you walk down a walkway with no shadow, and like the guy has his back to you. So if you just crouch walk along that and go to the left, you're in the shadows at that point, and then you can't be seen by anybody. The parts that I had issues were the rooms that didn't have anything to hide behind, and it's like you literally walking down a hallway. Like that part before where it's like,
Oh yeah,
there's two guys
when I first get
patrolling
down
hallways, and there's really not anything you can do because like you can kill the first guy no problem, but then the second guy is like, okay, like how do I run up on him where he can't hear me, but I'm also at his back? Like I just had a lot of issues with the times where there was nothing to hide behind, and it was like, man, it would have been really convenient to have a weapon here that I can at least shoot out the lights or something. Like,
oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say like, man, you're in the mines. Like, let me pick up like a rock and or something like something throwable.
Or even if there was like a little bit of a better way to peek around and not necessarily like
Get caught.
yeah. So I was thinking that the lean would have been like, oh well, you can lean out and then they won't really see you. But then I found out that it doesn't work like that. Like,
Yeah, that was kind of a rude awakening the first time you get caught.
I'm
trying that out.
gonna be honest too. There was like literally times where I'm standing in shadows, like not moving the stick, and I'm crouched, and I can just see my life bar flashing from white to blue, where it's like I'm hidden, I'm not hidden, I'm hidden, and it's like I'm not moving, but like it's so like it's so weird, and it was especially even bad when it was like if I got spotted by a guard and then I went to go hide in the shadows and I lean out. Like, I always got caught, even if I was fully in blue. And I was just like, I'm not really understanding, like, what's the point of this lean out thing if it doesn't work all the time? Or if I'm going to automatically get spotted even if I'm in stealth.
yeah, I think for as much stealth as in this game, I think they didn't build it very well or didn't give you a lot of good ways to do it, I guess. I guess once I don't want to get too far ahead. You get a tool that helps a little bit, but like,
So, I would generally agree with like not having that many tools, but aside from that very, very initial handful of rooms, I felt pretty confident. Like, it's more about using the environment to your advantage than using the tools to your advantage. So, a lot of times I would bait a guard into shooting me, get him to chase me, hide in the shadows, and then take him out from there. And like that's how I dealt with that first guard Marcus was talking about. And it was just kind of a give and take of, should I be stealthy, like completely stealthy, or should I try to bait them into a trap type of stealth?
Did you feel like you were actually, like, working with the AI, or did it just feel like rinse, repeat, where it was like, okay, I'm going to drag this dumb enemy over here, and, like, did you ever feel like you were in danger?
Well, I definitely died a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Well, they do.
room,
You take a lot of damage from gunshots.
You do take a lot of damage, and like if you're caught, it's kind of hard to get out of some situations depending on
What weapons you have.
What weapons you have and what you're around.
True.
But like that open-ended area you were talking about, like right after you go down the ramp past the mech or whatever.
Yeah.
Where there's the 2 like guardrails on the side.
Oh my god.
That room was dumb. You just kind of have to run past it.
Like, and I didn't understand because like there was shadows, and it was like, how am I still getting? And then like, because there was those 2 guards, and then there was a guard at the top, like at an outlook point too. And it was just.
And like, I don't know how you get past the guard at the top because like his AI pattern doesn't go that far.
I know.
Yeah, that was the issue I had with it. Like the AI was just really
Did anybody
inconsistent.
think they sequence broke the game?
What you mean?
Like, I thought the game was broken. I was like, did I go to the wrong room and now I have to go back past the mech that I can't avoid?
Yeah. That part, and then there was another. Yeah. So what we're saying is, like, so that room with the riot mech guard. There was two paths. You could either get to a second floor, like a second story platform, and go through a door, or you could sneak behind the mech and go through a door. And so, like, there was multiple ways to get around in this mine area. So it was very, like, confusing because there's a little bit of backtracking you have to do too. And one of my complaints in the game is once you have to backtrack, it's like I'm not really sure where I need to go or if I'm going the right way. And like I know I personally, like in this mine area, I backtracked to the prison or almost to the prison, but I wasn't sure if I was going the right way. So I went back into into the mines, and then I went back into the prison. So I went back and forth like a couple of times. So I spent maybe an extra 45 minutes to an hour in the mines than I should have because I wasn't sure what I had to do or what my objective was. Did any of you guys have that issue where you were just like, what do I do next?
No, yeah, I was in the same boat.
That place is a labyrinth.
Yeah.
Not only is it a labyrinth, it's a labyrinth where you can't really restore your health.
Yes.
And you don't have much good, like, info on where to go.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the guards don't respond. That is the one, like, saving grace.
Yeah. It definitely is an old game as far as, like, well, you're on your own. Go ahead.
Did any of y'all try to use the map at all? Like when you got lost?
I tried to use the map, but I didn't know where I was.
Exactly.
And I didn't know where I was supposed to go.
It doesn't tell you anything. It says,
map is basically...
here's a map of the areas. But like, where are the cardinal directions?
It's a static JPEG that you pull up. It's like it doesn't have any type of mission objective or mission indicators, no key at all, and you don't even know where you are. And like even if you know where you are, if you know the name of the room you're in, it doesn't even show you like you on like a blip in that room.
You don't know which direction you're facing.
Yeah.
I'm not against that type of game design. In fact, I like it in a lot of cases, but the fact that, you're limited on health, the stealth really only works in one direction in a lot of these rooms. Like, it's very hard to backtrack if you don't kill some of the guards.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it frustrating.
Yep. But as you get deeper and deeper in the mines, you're taking out more guards, and you take out some guards, get some security guards, and you eventually get a tranquilizer gun, which is like the saving grace for this section. And this gun allows you to basically, it's almost like a taser, it's a projectile gun that you can shoot. It has one clip at a time, unlimited ammo. You can shoot it at a guard, and they kind of like seize up, and then they fall to the ground, and you can snuff them out with like a stomp or whatever to take them out. And see, I didn't know this when we first got the gun, but I didn't know the gun worked on lights. So
that was the first thing I tried it on.
I played like the next 45 minutes to an hour, like without. I thought it was only to take out the guards. So there's a room with the riot guard. Let's see, what room is it? The mining core. So there's a guard on the stairs. There's a riot guard that's patrolling, and it's patrolling an area that has auto guns mounted and a service panel to deactivate the guns. You guys know? Does that ring a bell? Like the riot guards, the riot mech's route is like back and forth alongside like this giant like drill vehicle or something.
Oh, I think I know.
Oh yeah.
And then that, I thought I broke a sequence because I went there because there's two ways you can get into that room, and there's an elevator that you can take or another way. So I didn't take the elevator. I took the other way. I took out the guard on the stairs, and then the game kind of like auto-saved for me. And so it was just that mech. And he would walk to the edge of the drill and just stand there. So I was like, you have to get down the hallway that he's staring down, but I couldn't figure out how to get him to turn around. And I didn't understand, like, what was going on. So what I kept having to do was, like, draw his attention to make him turn around, like, kind of what Dante was saying, make him shoot at you. And then, like, he would chase me around to the other side, and I would just try to dip and run down the hallway. And then you would run around the hallway, and then there's a guy. It's an L-shaped hallway, so you run down the tall part, and then you take the left, and there's an enemy right there that when you turn around the corner, there's like a fire hydrant or something, or explosive barrel that he shoots, and immediately I'm at no health. And you take him out, and then there's another guy right, like it does like another quick right after that hallway, and there's another enemy there. And I died at that section for 30 minutes. I couldn't figure out what to do. And I finally, after like, I ended up stopped playing. I was like, I'm done for the day. I can't figure this out. And I came back like a day or two later, and I did that part. And maybe about 20 minutes in, I was able to do it my way. And then on my way back, I was like, I ran into the same issue where I was walking up that hallway because you had to backtrack, and there's like enemies and the lights are on, and I'm just getting tore up. I'm like, what the heck? And I ended up shooting up at the light, and it went out, and I was like, are you serious? I was so mad.
So, wait, the lights affect the mechs?
They can't see. Like, they can't, like, so that hallway that I was having a run down, like, I could have shot the lights out and just, like, I could have ran, like, a quarter or a third of the way into the hallway and been in the shadows. Where instead I had to run the whole length of the hallway and turn around the corner so the mech wouldn't see me.
Okay, so forgive my ignorance, but are the mechs human-manned in this game?
They're dudes inside of vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes, like, logistical sense. I was a big dummy, and I didn't even know you could shoot the lights for real until the final boss. So...
In the game?
Yeah.
Well, we talked about that last time where I said, like, I didn't know you could shoot the lights out, and then they were telling me you could.
You were playing on hard difficulty.
Man, well, I pretty much did the same thing Marcus did for the most part.
Didn't it suck?
Where I had to dart down the hallway, and
Did you die a lot or no?
I died like a couple times, but I'm trying to think about what I did to get past that, like, the guard at the bottom of the ramp, because I know he was an issue. And I can't remember if I actually had the stun gun at this point or not. Because there's a couple stun guns in the game.
There's two that I'm aware of, but...
I think I ran across three.
Did you get the first stun gun from the dude near the,
It's like an elevator section.
Yeah, you go down the elevator thing, or the mine shaft, I guess.
Okay, I think I got it from him, but I didn't actually use it yet, because I assumed it was like one of those limited ammo type of things.
That was the first thing I did. I just started shooting a bunch of shots to see if I ran out of ammo or not.
So that's why I sent a message to the group chat saying, like, this stun gun is super OP, because it's pretty much like the SOCOM from Metal Gear with the suppressor, just with unlimited ammo. So aside from the mechs, you can pretty much one-shot anything in the game at this point.
It's got a considerable amount of reload time. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Man.
It's like 2 seconds.
I mean, it's still like if you're fighting more than one enemy.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, granted, like.
Why are you fighting more than one enemy in a stealth game?
Hey, man.
It's a stealth
sometimes
game
they run
now.
up on you. They run up on you. Oh yeah, I heard that. He called it a stealth game. That's cute. Did you guys have any issues at that part, Trevor or Craig?
I'm trying to think. Is that so that's the area where, isn't there, if you climb up these crates, there's like a ladder that you can hang on?
It's right.
Or am I thinking of?
It's right before you meet Jagger at the mining core.
Yeah, there's matter of fact, if you climb up I mean, I might be misremembering, but I swore there's like if you climb up 2 crates, you can climb like there's like a hanging ladder that you can kind of go up above the mech.
I wouldn't be surprised because once you get a little bit past Jagger, you see this like area above you, like right where that meat grinder is.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like you could get there, but I could never figure it out. So what Greg's talking about sounds like the way to get there.
We all got there a different way. That's kind of cool. Like, I do appreciate, like, the game is pretty open. Like, the game does not, like... Many times playing this game, I was just running around trying to figure out what I needed to do and accidentally interacted with something that allowed me to climb. Did you guys have that issue or find that, like...
There were things that I should have been using to climb around or climb on that I just didn't do. I didn't do because I didn't know.
I'm thinking specifically the handrails where, like, you do, like, the monkey bars across stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those, like, there's no, like... The action button in this game is Y, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, it doesn't pop up when, like, you're supposed to do something. I feel like you have to, like, there's no prompt, as far as I remember, to tell you, oh, this is what you need to do. You just have to, like, see it and hit the button. And that was tricky at a couple sections for me. So one of them was that first room we were talking about with the riot guard and the riot mech and the two guards in the room with the crates, because I didn't know that there was something that you could climb to get around. And it was something I constantly ran into, and I'm like, man, all they have to do is just put a button prompt, and it would make it a little bit easier. Like, I still have to see it. You don't even have to flash it or make it, like, super visible or obvious like they do in, like, more modern games. Like, I know that was a complaint that Dante had with Enslaved, was, like, it makes the game so easy to put it out there. But I feel like this is, like, the complete inverse of that, where it's, like, the only way you would know is if you were just, like, hitting this button on everything, or you'd already played this game before. Otherwise, it's like there's no way of knowing. And I feel like this is also, like, not necessarily my ideal way of playing.
I think having design like that is fine, but it's like you don't want but I guess the issue in this game is I feel like the penalty for messing up is just too high. Because it's just like you either get smoked basically, or like you lose a lot of health and then you're almost in a bad position. And then you have to try and make the best of it.
I will say that the checkpoints are pretty frequent in this game, even though they're not forgiving per se, since you don't get health back.
Yeah, they're frequent enough. There's been a couple times where I died and I lost like 5 to 8 minutes of gameplay, and I'm like kind of annoyed. I'm like, man, I wish I could choose my own checkpoints, or I wish I could save when I wanted to, but it was just a couple of sequences. So overall, like, you do get checkpoints, I would say, like every 5 to 10 minutes. So,
and I couldn't figure out how the checkpointing worked, because sometimes it felt like there were story sections where it would start checkpointing, and then there's other times where you just go through an area and then the game just decides, hey, we'll just go ahead and save now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
New room.
Like,
here's a floppy disk.
Even sometimes, like when you heal yourself at the nanomed stations, sometimes it would save the game and sometimes it wouldn't.
Yeah.
And it would feel like it was you were almost at a disadvantage if you already had full health and you tried to use one of those stations just to save your game, and it wouldn't let you use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you basically travel deeper and deeper into the mining cores, and your ultimate objective is to get to Jagger Vance, who is a convict there. That he's kind of like the guy in the mining amongst the mining convicts, and he basically tasks Riddick with finding a package for him, and so you have to go deeper into the mining core, and then there's a room that's kind of blocked off with a sign that says there's a gas leak, and you can duck underneath it, and you go into the room and you can hear Riddick audibly like hold his breath, and that's kind of like the prompt for you to move quickly and figure out where you need to go, because you're in a gaseous cave now, and you kind of hop over some crates and explore a little bit, and you find the package that Jagger needs you to get, and then you're gonna have to quickly get out of there because you'll start losing health for holding your breath if you take too long. Did you guys, any of you guys, like start losing life at this part, or was it pretty straightforward?
Yeah, it was pretty linear.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, I was like, man, what's the he held his breath for a long ass time.
You just kept waiting for your health to drain.
Yeah, and I was like, what's going on? But you leave the room and
wait.
What's up?
Before you even get down there, there's a room with a meat grinder, which I talked about for a second earlier.
Yeah.
Did anybody push anyone into that meat grinder?
I did.
I didn't.
How do you push people?
Man.
You can.
Well, it's just like the stealth attack or whatever. I think they made it contextual.
Yeah, you can either do the stealth attack where you kind of kick him in there after you either stab him or slice his throat, or even if you just like shoot him and then
drag a body.
Yeah, you can drag him in there, kind of nudge him in.
What happens?
Man,
they get ground up.
You know the song.
It's pretty good.
You know the song.
Off the meat grinders. I was thinking about it the whole time.
Become that prison food.
Well, I'm glad you guys had fun with that. I just took them out the old-fashioned way, with my shank. You end up giving Jagger the package. He gives you hold up. He ends up giving you a card and tells you the cave is above a den of dangerous creatures, and then he gives you another task of retrieving a bomb from a man in Tower 19, which you need to use to blow up the cave to unleash the dangerous creatures. And at this point, it's backtracking, but this is the part where it was unclear to me because he said Tower 19. I'm like, I'm in Tower 17. How'd I get to Tower 19? So I was just all sorts of mixed up at this point. And also, too, some of the first places that you can backtrack, the guards don't, respawn. So that led me to believe that I was going the wrong way because I was assuming, if I have to go backwards, they're most games, they would repopulate the room with guards. They didn't do it here, so I must be going the wrong way. So I got myself all sorts of turned around. But you eventually, you're going back through the mines, and once you get further along, there are a few guards that have respawned and everything. And I guess this is the part where you had issues, Dante, with trying to... You said it was easy to sneak one way, but the other way was more difficult.
That was before I got the stun gun. After I got the stun gun, most of the stealth seemed pretty trivial, to be honest.
Okay, so was it still fun for you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I wish they made it a little bit more difficult at this point, but I guess after the whole, not having a weapon thing for a really long time and going through these corridors without any actual, stealth components to interact with, I was cool with it being easy for a little bit.
Isn't it weird to think about the fact that you're a prisoner and you have a tranquilizer gun and you feel more powerful and in control than any of the guards who have actual guns?
Well, the concept of Riddick in general is pretty dumb when you think about it. This dude, they should have just killed him from the beginning. I don't know why anybody would keep this man alive in a prison where he's constantly killing people, and they seem willing to shoot him, if he punches somebody, but if it's you just killed Abbott or whatever, I guess we should put you even further down in the prison.
Because
you can kill more
you attempted to kill Abbott, you didn't even do it.
He's worth less if he's dead.
What's the... Okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I think we were going to ask the same question.
Yeah, John's turned him in, got paid, what, are somebody going to, capture him again in prison? He's already in prison,
All right, so you
have a bounty on a prisoner in the prison.
You know how you can, sell homing pigeons? And, after you sell them, they fly
Trevor,
right back to you?
Trevor, I've never been to prison. What? I have been to bars, but I haven't I haven't gotten any homing pigeons before, so I don't know.
What website do I go to do this?
You bought them from Mike Tyson?
Yeah, man. People will sell like those carrier pigeons, and
Is this some Michael Vick stuff that you're talking about?
and like the pigeons will fly back to their original owner, and then you could just sell them again. So
dang, so that's how you grew up? That bird money?
So imagine doing that with
Pigeon
Riddick.
woke.
Johns is a bounty hunter, so anytime Riddick escapes, like I think at this point Riddick and Johns have kind of gotten into this like relationship, like cat and mouse, where they're constantly
I read that fanfic.
where they're constantly, escaping each other's grasp and then meeting back up, and then Riddick ends up using Johns, and now they've gotten to a point where they just have like a lot of respect for each other. But
is it kind of like Hobbs and Toretto and Fast and Furious?
Yeah, exactly.
Except for does John ever team up with Riddick?
Yes. But I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody. But I mean, there's like this mutual respect for each other. But yeah, going ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch a movie.
Oh, he's sure. He just doesn't want to say it.
I might, but
Imagine Fast and the Furious in the future.
why don't I just imagine Fast and the Furious with more actors that I like?
Hey, they got those messenger pigeons in the future.
Yeah, you backtrack through the mines and everything, and this part you exit out into the work pass area, so you're back in Tower 17, and this is one of the parts I was talking about, Dante, where like two goons jump you at the same time, and so like there's not like you have your trank gun, and they just run at you with their fists, and I got beat up a little bit. I didn't die or nothing, but like I got beat up while I was reloading. This was one of those scenes that wasn't a stealth scene where they could lay hands on you. But then the next part is you climb up a wall, and there's you're like on the top of this wall, and you have to get across. There's no like apparent way to get across, and then there's a mech guard at the other end, or on the other side of this wall in this room. So if you drop down, he's just gonna body you. And I just, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to get across. And then I just was like looking around, looking up, and I saw the handrail, and then I was like, oh, if I like hit the action button, I'm gonna grab on this handrail. And it's stupid, it's not difficult or whatever, but it's just like, man, like just a little, like just give me an action prompt and I'm good to go. You don't even like have to flash this thing, because I'm standing.
This is right before you get back to the section 17 stuff.
This is like you're
It's like, why even put that there? There's nothing you can do if you get down there, from my understanding.
Why even have the Met Guard down there?
Yeah.
I don't know, but like it just seems like a way to trick people into falling in there, I guess, like a death trap.
Wait, you don't have to go back through that door in order to get back to...
No, you have to, but what he's saying is why even like have it so you can fall into that room, I think is what Dante's saying.
Yeah, like you have to cross that like tightrope up top.
You have the monkey bar over
the mech in the one room,
head.
and then there's a mech in the next room with the guard. But the mech in the one room is just kind of like a pit of lava, pretty much.
If you fall in there, you're dead, and there's no way to get out. So you're gonna have to die if you fall in there.
Maybe
it's really,
Maybe there's a pack of smokes that's like down there that you can get.
There's no way of getting out though.
Oh.
Well, actually, I found this out. If you collect a collectible, you can't collect it. Like it's
yeah.
But you can't collect it again.
If you collect it, then it's collected, and even if you die and go back and pick it up, it's gonna say you've already collected it.
Which is really weird. That seems super buggy to me.
Actually, it's not, because the way the game saves, I don't know if y'all looked at the checkpoints option, like on the menu of the game, but you can actually go back and replay certain checkpoints.
For what?
Well, I ran into one part which we're about to get to next, where I had to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, you end up like getting through this. What do I call it? The work pass area, and I got so mad because I walked into the next room, and immediately got lit up by the turret because I forgot to put away my trank gun. Did anybody else?
Ditto.
Okay, because I felt so stupid. I'm like, I'm out here holding a weapon. I had a shank on me this entire time, and we're good. But the moment I have a tranquilizer gun, it's a problem now. And yes,
It actually confused me because
you didn't know why you died.
The second I got shot was the second I was opening up that little door that had all like the computers and monitors and stuff.
Yeah.
That had the little secret.
Yeah.
And I assumed I was getting punished for opening the door while people were looking at me, when in reality it was a trank. So it took me like 3 or 4 tries to realize, hey, I'm not getting shot for opening the door. I'm getting shot because I have this stupid trank gun out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so once you put away your trank gun, you can enter that room, and you're back in Tower 17 rec area. And this is like you can start turning in all the quests for all the things that you had to find in the mines, or whatever you had to do for all these guys. And at this point, you can return back to the Power Central room and use the Jagger's card that he gave you on a new door, and then you get access to another room, and it leads you to some back sections of the prison. So the feed ward, which is close to the feed hall, and then you basically eventually climb towards Tower 19. And once you get to Tower 19, you meet up with a inmate named Jupiter, and he gives you the bomb, and you guys immediately get ambushed by guards. And I think he immediately dies. And this is...
I was the only person that thought that part was kind of funny, just how they kind of lit him up.
I thought it was funny, but I didn't know what was going on. At first I thought we got set up. Like, I thought Jagger... I thought, like, oh, Jagger set us up, or whatever. He's a snitch, or he's a rat. But,
That seems to happen to a lot of NPCs in this game, from what I remember. You just, like, you turn in your quest, and, like, 5 seconds later, they just die right in front of you.
Hey, man, it's a tough rural prison, you know?
Anybody can get it.
They don't want no smoke.
So, what's funny is... this was where I had to backtrack and go back to this checkpoint to turn in all those quests for Tower 17.
Yeah.
When I got out of the mines, and I got the I think it was the white key card, the first one that you get.
Yeah.
So I must have made a wrong turn or something, and I ended up getting into a mech suit and just.
Ow.
And just wreaking havoc throughout the prison.
So this confused me, and I think we glanced upon it in our group chat or whatever. But I was looking at the walkthrough, and there was one point where I think it was Marcus that said, I'm in this point, or it might have been you, Trevor, that said, like, I'm doing all these extra things that aren't in the walkthrough.
Yeah, this was one of them.
And I ended up in that same mech suit, which was not listed in the one Riddick walkthrough.
Wait, say that again?
So basically you go into like a facility, like you're in a lab, and I think in the checkpoints it's actually called Research Lab 1 and Research Lab 2. But I guess that's where they create like the mech suits. And so you kill like one of the guys in the lab, and there's a mech suit sitting in front of you, and one of the options is to pilot the mech suit. You can hop in, and as soon as you do that, it alerts like all the guards, and so they all start converging on you, and you basically just mow them down with the the minigun.
This is like a 30-45 minute sequence. I had that mech suit for a long time.
I had no idea.
And so, I guess...
I didn't even get that.
I don't know if you're supposed to do all of the the Tower 17 stuff before you do that part, but I ended up skipping through it, and then I went on and got the bomb from Jupiter, and then that was when the story just continued.
Weird.
But yeah, you can hear like somebody on the intercom, calling, units to come in and stop you. And, you fight other mech suits and, of course, guards on foot. But there's one part where you fight what are called flamingos. Like the person on the intercom says, bring in the flamingos.
Wait, so you got that, like, it's like you skipped the whole section of the game.
Yeah, it's a lot of game that you just... I think it was like almost 3 or 4 chapters worth of stuff where you're just in the mech suit.
Because I know what you're talking about, and I'm like, that's like later on in the game. That literal, like, getting the flamingos and all that, that's literally later in the game.
Were you in a mech suit when that happened?
Yeah. It sounds like you bypassed like an hour of game.
I don't know, but when I realized what had happened, I went back so that I could turn in all those quests.
Because, I mean, you skipped the whole, like, next part we're about to talk about.
Well, not necessarily.
I'm curious what happens.
Because I still talked to Jupiter and went back down into the mines.
Wait, then how...
It's like, after you get the white security card...
Okay.
There are 2 doors. One is to the left and one is to the right. And I remember that specific point because I didn't know which door to take to progress the story, because you know how in some games you can obviously look and see, oh, this is going to be like some extra stuff, maybe I'll find a collectible or something. And this one is actually where the next part of the story is. Well, there's no indicators there, so I ended up just picking one, and that's where it happened to lead.
So you might actually know what we're talking about, at least the room. So you know where the not the mech that we were talking about where you can drop into them and die, but the following room where there's the mech, and then there's the guard, and then, like, the computer room, right? Somebody?
I'm trying to think.
So, no, this is literally the room we were just talking about where, like, you had the stun gun equipped.
Yeah.
And got shot instantly.
Uh-huh.
So, opposite of the mech, there's another door. And
I was in there use the key card on, or the... Is it the one that you have to use the key card on, or the passcode? I forget.
Yeah, there's like, you go in a room earlier in the game and it's like, oh, I need a passcode for this, and there's like 3 guards in there or something. I took out the guards, but I didn't know the passcode, and apparently I had whatever I needed to get into that room now, and that led me to the mech suit that he's talking about.
But Trevor's saying he didn't skip the hole, dropping into the hole. And it sounds to me like you are by doing that.
At some point, you do detonate the bomb. I just can't remember the order of events.
Yeah, because that, like, the part, like, we're getting the bomb now, and it sounds like you guys are skipping, like, an hour and a half of gameplay to get to the part you're in the mech suit. But, like, me and Greg, we went through the correct door, or whatever, the door you're supposed to go through, and took the bomb. That's the next part that we did, is dropping the bomb off.
Maybe it was the way you went back to Tower 19. Because did you have to go through vents in order to get there?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm starting to second. Trevor, are you sure, like, your order of operations is right?
I'm pretty sure. Because, I mean, Marcus and Greg didn't pilot a mech suit at this point.
Yeah, because so for me and Greg...
But he said when they said bring in the flamingos, he was in a mech.
Yeah, but that's later on. But, like, what I'm saying is that's later on in the game, that specific line that when I heard...
Are you talking about the mech suit or the heavy guard that you were piloting?
You were piloting the mech suit. Whatever.
Yeah, because from what I remember, it didn't
way,
let me go back to Tower 17. So I had to replay it.
Me and Greg, I'm assuming, so we went out the right door, or the correct one, and we are back in the cells, like, and there's guards in front of you and behind you, and you're running against the open doors of the cells, and there's a cell drop. Did you guys not have this at all? the cells dropping, and you got to jump onto one that's falling or being lowered into the hole.
Happened.
Yeah,
So that's where we went immediately after this part. And then now we're riding on top of these prison cells that are being dropped into this hole, and they get attached to this rail track, and they start riding along like almost like a conveyor belt, and it gets shut down because 2 guards are on patrol and they are trying to stop you. So you have to jump and avoid the guards, because at this point, which this is another complaint of mine, Riddick loses his weapon so quickly, so easily. Like, how did he lose his trank gun?
I don't remember losing mine.
He doesn't, like...
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
When I was on top of this thing, I didn't have any weapon. So then I had to jump into this hole, avoid the guards, because I would have taken out those 2 guards that were patrolling, but I couldn't because I didn't have any weapons to take them out with. So then I jumped to the side, dropped into a sewer almost, and then there's a guard patrolling down there, and I took him out. And then you find another trank gun down there, so that's where I found the second trank gun, was in the sewers.
See, I think I got the second trank gun, but I think I already had a trank gun and just assumed that, like, that was there for the people that missed the original.
See, and I had the original one, but like once I had once I got that checkpoint that you get the bomb from Jupiter, I no longer had the trank gun. When I was running away from the guards, I didn't have any weapons at that point. It's like I lost my club, my shiv, and my trank gun. And this happened a couple of times where you literally go from one section of the game to another, and you like it's I can think of one other time in this game, or 2 other times, where it's like, where did my weapons go? I like literally have nothing now. So maybe that's just me, or I don't know. That was just really weird. But at this point now, you're like in the sewers, and you're like, you have to turn on the rail track's power generator, and you have to turn the track back on, so that way the cells can keep moving along this rail, so that way you can keep escaping from the guards and everything. So you basically take out a bunch of guards, and I think you run into a mechanic prisoner, which is weird. It's like these prisoners that are like IT dudes almost. I don't know how else to describe them. They seem like they're prisoners, but they are dressed up like mechanics, and they're called mechanics, and they work with the guards to try to take you out. And I think they're almost like the pilots of the mechs, I think.
It seems like they respond a lot faster if you shoot out a light than the other guards do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you eventually get back... you get back on... you turn back the rail track power and the power generator back on, and you're back to riding on top of these cells, and you're being lowered back into the mining core. And at this point, then you can hop off the cell, and then go plant the bomb in the gaseous cave to trigger the cutscene. And so you guys did this, right? Like, did the way that me and Greg did, or like, how did you guys get to this cave?
That was the same way I got to it. You basically go back.
Trevor, I got a question for you. So where does the mech sequence end? Because I can't remember how that exactly closed.
It was some point after you killed the flamingos. You get into a room, and there's basically no way out, so you have to get out of the mech suit, and then you climb back into the vents, and then you find your way back. And I guess that's when you get back on track with the rest of the walkthrough.
Okay.
So it seemed like it was a side mission that happens.
Oh.
Such a weird thing.
Whatever.
It's almost like we're talking about 2 different games.
Yeah.
It was weird when it happened, because I was just like, this is obviously like a part of the game that the developers just put in here as like something fun.
Well, I figured that was something required when I got to it, because I'm like, there's no way they just give me this powerful
Exactly.
suit.
What? It wasn't fun to you, Marcus?
The mech suit?
Yeah.
No. No. Like,
How?
I have a note written down. Even the riot guard or the mech gun is inaccurate and sucks on enemies.
What?
It sucks. Like, I'm not saying controlling it or anything. I'm just saying the gun. The actual combat in the riot suit sucks.
I didn't think it was terrible, but it wasn't amazing.
It's more of the same.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's like... I was like, man, like... all I have is a machine gun. There's nothing else. Like, fighting another mech is just literally just holding down right trigger on him. That's it. There's no, like, strategy, like, getting behind cover or anything. Like, it basically took out the whole run and gun. Like, it's the most boring, like... Not only are the enemies still bullet sponges and your guns are more inaccurate, but there's not even, like, any need for cover or anything like that. It's just, like, running out like a God Fantasy or something. That wasn't fun to me.
Well, that was why I thought it was just like a side mission, because it is like they just give you, like Dante said, they give you this really OP suit and you just kind of run through enemies, mowing them down. And then, like, for me, I ended up dying a couple of times on the flamingos because it seems like the game gives you just enough health, or either that or it throws just enough enemies at you to where you, like, barely make it through that section.
I mean, I agree, but to me, it's mostly because I'm unloading on this thing and maybe 25% of my bullets are hitting the intended target. And not because I'm getting outputted.
I don't know. And a lot of enemies, like, when they spawn or when they came out of doors, they had, like, explosive barrels next to them, too.
Am I the only one that, like, the vehicle sequences I'm not here for at all? It was, like, basically, like, okay, it's...
Like, again, I wasn't, like, offended by them, but I definitely wasn't enjoying them.
I mean,
I can't...
I don't think...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Specifically, like, I have some heavy guard notes. So when we get to the heavy guard, I got some more complaining to do. But, like, maybe the least fun vehicle sequences I've ever played in a game. Like, it's specifically the heavy guard. I was like, this thing is awful. It's like, it's cool, it has an alternate fire mode, but, like, I'm literally, like, facing the enemy and I shoot my cannon and I'm taking damage. Like, my cannon is not even going where I'm aiming. Like, and, like...
I just didn't have that issue.
I died a couple times with the heavy guard where I'm going down a hallway and you get ambushed by the dudes. They're, like, in the second floor, like, rafters. These curtains get drawn back and they start unloading on you.
Oh, I remember
and I'm,
that
like,
part.
right underneath them and I'm shooting my cannon and my cannon is literally going up in the air and hitting me. Even though it's aimed at the guy to my right or up to my left. And, like, I did not know what was going on, but, like, that vehicle sequence was, like, the worst vehicle sequence I've ever played in a video game. And, like, I feel like the combat, at least with the mech suit, is, like, it's not fun. It's just, like, a worse... It's, like, I'm a powerful version of a character in a game where I don't like the combat. So it doesn't necessarily help the combat. I'm invincible, but it doesn't make the combat more fun. These characters are still bullet spongy. My gun still doesn't, like... My gun is still not accurate. Like, the most accurate gun to me in the game was when you were Riddick and you took the minigun. That was the most accurate gun. Not when you were in the mech suit, when you took the gun off the mech suit. But then you're moving, like, half speed. But I ran the game doing that versus being in the mech suit.
So you say the minigun is the most accurate gun. Are you including the stun gun?
No, not the stun gun. But I mean, like,
Okay.
The stun gun doesn't take out mechs.
Oh, it takes out everybody.
It doesn't take out mechs.
It takes out everybody you need to take out.
it doesn't take out mechs or flamingos, so
You don't need to take those out. It's a stealth game.
I just like I don't know like it was kind of like why is this part here like if anything you're as Riddick you're showing how incompetent like this whole prison is and these guards like cool but like other than that like I didn't see any like gameplay like why are there empty mech suits? Why is there an empty mech suit for a convict to run into?
I feel like you just described just about every vehicle sequence in any game ever.
But I mean, like, specifically, like, this is a double max, you're in the double max portion of the prison. So, like, you are, like, not only a threat, you're twice the threat. And they have empty mech suits, and, like, the fact that, like, we're about to get...
I mean, Covenant keeps Ghost and, like, Wraiths hanging around.
Let me get a little bit further, and then I got, like... Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit further. So, you trigger the bomb in this cave. Then you go to a cutscene. Riddick is walking away from the gas leak room now. So, it's flash forward a little bit. And gets spotted by a mech guard who calls for backup. He's in a mech suit, and he calls for backup. That's how good these vehicles are, guys.
Actually, I know where you're going with this. The guy could not shoot Riddick at that point. Is that what you're saying? Why didn't he just kill him?
I'm saying, what do you need backup for? You're in a mech suit.
I don't think there's any like capture feature in that mech suit. I think it's more of like for riot control.
To be fair, even with that mech suit, he doesn't get what he needs accomplished or the backup.
He does get the backup. He does get the backup. Yeah, so like you flash forward to him now, you're back in a cell, and you're being locked up by two regular non-mech guards while the mech guard is standing watch outside the cell. So then they strap up they strap up Riddick, and they close the cell doors, and now they're traveling back to Tower 17. So now it's just the two regular ass guards. The cell doors close, and it starts being taken up the rail track, and as you're going up, there's an explosion, it rattles, and then the cell drops back down, and there's emergency, lights going on. So the cell goes, the guards want to see what's going on, so they enter the cell in emergency mode, which releases the straps on Riddick, so he can open up the door. The guard can open up the door, so he's like, I'm going to go check what's happening. You keep an eye on this dude. And then he kind of just runs off into the darkness.
What's interesting is this is another trope of Riddick from some of the films. Is he always
bad storytelling?
Well, he always manages to manipulate the enemies to basically play into his hands, where he makes it seem like they have the upper hand on him.
Bruh, no, they didn't.
Oh,
he makes it seem
we caught the Riddick. Let's get him out of here. But realistically, Riddick, this is exactly what he wants, because then it transports him away from the explosion, so he doesn't die.
It's all according to plan.
Exactly.
Huh?
That's another thing about Riddick. He always manages to have an out.
They think they got me, but I actually got them.
Hey man,
I'm right where I want to be.
Am I in character?
So so you regain control of Riddick, and you have the lone guard is watching you. And this is the other part I was saying, Dante, where you don't have any weapon at this point, and you got to carefully approach this guard to take him out. Because
I thought of one more sequence later.
Okay, because if you run up on him, he's gonna shoot you. So you have to carefully walk over to him, and then when he realizes you're so close, he swings his gun. You do the counter, shoot him, and then you're good. And then it cuts to another cutscene. And then the guard that ran out is peering over the huge hole in the ground from where the bomb explosion was. He's on comm chatter, and he's trying to describe the scene and trying to explain, this is a huge hole and blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that. And he turns his back on the hole as he's walking back to the cell, and then a huge monstrous creature crawls out the hole. and the smaller like insectoid on its back jumps the guard and like tackles him and rips his head off with its tail, and then it tosses the head back to the bigger creature and then crawls back into like this hole in the bigger creature's back that it was previously in, and they kind of both drop into the hole and go back into the darkness. And I'm not gonna lie, at this part I was like, okay, like we're gonna fight creatures, like whatever, that's cool, but like I was like, man, this creature design is really cool. So I was hopeful that like there was gonna be like some cool creatures down there. And
Nope.
Huh?
No, I said nope.
Hey, you fight that one.
Over and over again?
This is probably
No, you fight the big dude.
This is probably one of the weirdest creatures in the Riddick series.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Is this like a reoccurring creature?
It seems like a mix of two of the monsters that they've used in the films. Like one was the what is it? I can't remember what they're called, but like in the most recent movie, they're the scorpion type monsters that like live in like swampy mud water. But they seem kind of close to that. But they also just, I don't know, that whole thing where it like attaches to the back of the big monster. That was just really weird.
I thought it was really gross and really cool. It gave me hope that there was going to be interesting enemies in this game, and combat was going to get better.
I don't know. I guess Riddick, the series has gotten to a point where each planet has its own unique monsters to it. So I didn't even think to, like, why is there only one monster down there? Like, I guess
it was normal.
Yeah, those are the only monsters that are what do you call it?
Like from the species from this planet?
Yeah.
I mean, you know more about the lore. That makes sense. But it was kind of disappointing. It'd be like people coming to Earth and there's just like donkeys here or something. It'd be disappointing.
I feel like even if that was the case, they could have had some type of game argument for having multiple creatures. Like, oh, well, we kept these just in case the prisoners got loose, unleash them or something. I don't know.
Right? Yeah. But, oh well. So now you're back in control. You're back in control with Riddick, and you basically have to drop into the hole after those creatures. And you fall into a cave, and there's shotgun and grenades at the bottom of the cave. So I was like, okay, now we're going into like old school, like shooter sequence where it's just dark corridors and a shotgun. I was like again, I was like, okay, this is gonna just be like, I was thinking Doom again, or thinking like that earlier sequence where you had to fight those creatures in the sewers in the first part of the game. So I already knew like what to expect. And you jump out or you step out of the cave, and you immediately get attacked by the big creature. He's by himself, and he takes like a couple of shots and everything, and then you continue on, and you start getting jumped by the insectoid creatures, and they're super fast and super aggressive, and they're like low to the ground. And this is when I realized, like, man, like my character moves so much slower. Moving the camera, I guess you could say, was so much slower than I wanted it to be. Did you have that issue, Trevor? Because I know you were saying like combat was a little bit funky for you in the first part.
Yeah, I had that same issue. Like, I ended up just letting the enemies get close to me and then shooting them at like the last second, because that seemed a lot easier than trying to shoot them, especially the ones that could climb along the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really wasn't expecting that, but it was pretty cool.
I definitely had a hard time keeping up with the enemies.
Yeah.
Keyboard and mouse, baby.
Must be nice. Did you guys try to use the grenades at all?
No.
I used to take down that big dude, the one that killed the dude in the cutscene.
Oh yeah, I did use a couple of grenades for that.
What do you think about the grenades?
They were pretty good at taking that one thing down.
What do you think about the accuracy of the
And I never
grenades?
used them again.
Yeah, I was just about to say the accuracy was kind of off, and then they explode
No,
in the air.
kind of off. Kind of off.
I mean, you just gotta aim a little bit lower.
I was so like, I don't even like. He just like threw the grenade like straight in front of. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like, that's not where I aimed. Like, why is that grenade going there? Like, man, Deep Silver, right? Deep Silver game. Or no, Starbreeze. I'm sorry, Starbreeze.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, I was thinking.
the-
I was like, hold up, Deep Silver, isn't that the Dead Island guys?
Nah, Starbreeze. Starbreeze, am I right, guys?
Best developer in
Sounds-
Sweden.
Well, I mean, we are all entitled to our own opinions.
I mean, we played through their game so far. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, and like, so at this point, it's like a lot of like going through corridors and always being, you have to be aware at all times because they come from, like Trevor said, all over. Like they can come from in front, from behind, from the walls, from the ceiling. So you're always tense, and I feel like they play it to great effect, at least in this first part, because like you don't really start off with that much shotgun ammo. So like it was.
Did you ever run out
About
of
to
shotgun
say,
ammo?
I wasn't.
I had a
Yeah.
ton of shotgun ammo.
All right. Well, I ran out of shotgun ammo because the way you're supposed to go, you go from room to room killing creatures until you find the vent tool. Then you use the vent tool, climb into a room with a service panel and a big drill. You can't use either right now. So then you continue on and go across the bridge to get a tool room key and ammo. Well, I was having issues with the tracking the characters. I couldn't figure out what I was trying to say. Tracking the creatures, so I was missing a lot of shots. So I ran out of ammo till I got to the bridge, picked up the ammo, shimmied across the bridge, and I didn't know where I needed to go. I didn't realize that I had a key. So I ran through the area again because it's a big loop. And I ran through it again and the characters respawned.
Oh, yeah.
So I ran through it and I basically, the second run through, I didn't have any ammo by the end of it. And then I found the room that, like, on my second run around, I found the room that I'm supposed to unlock. And I went in there and I picked up ammo. And I'm like, cool, here's the cell charger. And then I was like, all right, cool, now I can go back to the drill. And I ran out without opening up the next room. So I did another loop, having not made any progress. And then I went back into the tool room and I'm like, there has to be something in here that I missed. And then I saw the service panel that you do to power on the door to go to the next room. So yeah, I ran out of ammo because I was like missing what I had to do. And once you enter that next room, you get more ammo, you get more grenades, you get the power cell to power the drill, and then you get the prototype rifle, which is... did you guys use the prototype rifle at all?
Oh, yeah.
Did you like it?
To me, it was the most accurate weapon.
It didn't have enough, like, ammo in a clip for me. Did you run into that?
Nah. It was pretty much my type of weapon. That's the kind of weapon I use in shooters, so it was fun.
Did you guys use it at all?
I think I messed around with it a lot, but not a lot, but a little bit. But just kind of stuck to the shotgun.
I don't think I did.
Okay.
Shotgun was super effective against these
Yeah,
fighting.
shotgun was pretty much one shot, so I stuck with that. But yeah, you get the You get the cell, you recharge it, then you take it back to the drill, and then once you're like heading towards the drill, you hear like the ground shaking, and you're in a vent, and the vent starts to collapse. So you drop into the room, and you turn around, and you fight another one of those big monster creatures, and it's again, I mean, you're just dodging and shooting it with shotgun shots, and you take it down pretty easily. And then put the
Any of
charge
y'all get
cell
hit by it?
No.
Not that I can
The thing
remember.
takes a lot
I
of
just ran
damage.
from 'em.
Does a lot of damage or
Or,
takes
yeah,
a lot of
it
damage?
deals a lot of damage. Like, I got
Yeah, I
hit
never
by
got
it
hit by
once, and I said never again.
Because
Because I think at
Yeah,
this point I had 6 health bars, and I think one hit from that monster knocked me down to 1.
I think he killed me the first time actually, and the second time I just ran from him because I'm like, he can't get through this room that I'm about
Oh
to go
yeah,
into. So
I think I shot him
why
from
bother?
that little hatch that you crawl into.
You don't even have to shoot him though. He just live and let live.
Oh,
bro.
I thought there was
Stealth.
something
I
in
mean,
that
he
room
just-
you had to access.
You just have to get to that drill and start activating it.
Dante said, I'm going to let the cutscene do all my dirty work.
Yep.
But yeah, you basically start up the drill. It runs it through the wall, and it unlocks the next area for you. And then at that point, you're back in the prison area, and the guards are fighting the insectoids, and you're kind of sneaking around in the background, trying to get. You're just trying to escape prison at this point, right?
Isn't that literally the title of the game?
Yeah, man, you're right. Yeah, you're just trying to escape with Gervais.
Riddick does
I was
best.
like, wait a second.
Yeah. So you're just trying to escape now, and you've inserted this chaos into the mix, and there's sequences where you have to fight a guard or you have to fight some insectoids or whatever, but you're just like eventually just like trying to get out.
And this is the part that I told you that I was waiting for. That's kind of parallel with the movies, where basically everybody's afraid of Riddick, but Riddick tries to warn them that there's something scarier than me on this planet, and this is where it happens.
Well, I think at this point, you don't you get the mech suit?
No, I didn't have the mech suit at this point. I had gotten it earlier.
Well, don't you get the second mech suit at this point? Because we got it twice.
Well, I got the mech suit and then the heavy guard.
Yeah, but I thought that starts at this point when you're, or I don't know if you. I thought.
Okay, for me and Trevor, there's 3 vehicle sequences. Am I correct, Trevor?
I only remember 2.
Huh.
There's one that's like at the essentially at the end of the game, I guess.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
the
that's
end.
the heavy guard.
And then there's 2 before then.
I thought there was a mech before Cryo and a mech and the heavy guard after.
I'm pretty sure you're right. Because, like, Trevor, you did the part where the mech is, actually, maybe I'm jumping ahead. Yeah, forget what I was about to say.
You got it, Trevor, because I'm kind of confused. So
Okay, so we've gotten to the part where Riddick is able to power the drill, and he breaks through that wall. Is that where we are? And then
yeah.
So basically, after that, the monsters are still wreaking havoc. You're basically fighting your way through the mine/prison area. It's kind of hard to tell where one starts and where one begins, especially with the monsters running around. But you can visibly see like all the guards are preoccupied fighting the monsters. And then you get to one sequence. I think that's at the loading docks. And I don't know if this is the part, Dante, where you're getting confused with, is this is the first time where you can actually take a minigun from one of the mech suits? Is that what you were thinking of?
See, I remember specifically like riding up an elevator on a mech suit at some point, and I don't think that was in the first sequence where I had the mech suit. Does anybody else?
I remember that too.
I remember the elevator, but
So
I don't remember being in a mech suit on the elevator.
Because I remember getting out of the suit to climb into the rooms, because you couldn't climb into the rooms with the suit on, so you could shoot the glass out, but you had to hop out the suit in order to walk into the room.
I'm wondering.
I thought that happened a lot earlier in the game.
I'm wondering if we're talking about the same part, but maybe it happened earlier. But no, I definitely went in the mech twice before that final mech sequence.
Because I remember because I thought this is the part where you fight the flamingos and stuff, Trevor. But actually, it might be later on after Cryo.
The one after Cryo, you never have to get out.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Well,
so obviously this game is tearing us apart.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at the checkpoints again and see. But yeah, once you're at the loading docks and you the monsters actually take down a mech suit for you, you can kill the rest of the monsters and then grab its minigun, the minigun off the mech suit, and then you can use that against the enemies. And Dante, you said you had a lot of fun with this weapon.
The minigun? Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Like,
It's OD.
just being able to just run around with that gun and it doesn't have any ammo, like...
You don't have to reload. You don't have to worry about running out of ammo. You can just unload on people. It's too good.
I think... Does it overheat?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. And maybe that's... Now I'm starting to second guess myself. Maybe I just had the minigun and that was like just as good as the mech suit.
It was better.
Anyway, let's not dawdle on that too much.
But there's also a part at the loading docks where you get introduced into those they're like mobile turrets. They move like along the wall and they have like a red light that kind of tracks you. And so at this point you're kind of in the middle of those monsters, the guards, and then these turrets too. So I'm curious to know, since Marcus, you were playing it a little bit different than the rest of us. How did you start to tackle this area? Do you remember this part?
With the turrets on the conveyor belt?
With the turrets on the conveyor belt type thing.
The thing that you keep going up the floors, you're talking about?
No, it's a room that you walk into, and to the right, there's like a red light that hits you, and as soon as it sees you, it starts shooting you.
I actually don't remember that room. Let me see. Let me try to pull something up, because I don't remember that at all.
Because it's a V-shaped room, right?
Or actually, it's weird because
there's like a left side and a right side, and there's people shooting
from the opposite side,
shooting at you from across. And this is also when like everything's fighting everything, right? So, and it's just a little bit before the next nano machine. What are they actually canonically called?
I
just said nano machine just out of Nanomed. Okay,
same thing.
Oh, okay. I remember this. I didn't shoot out the turrets. I just used the boxes as cover. So I never took out, like, I killed the robots, or not robots, I killed the insectoids, killed the guys, and then I used the boxes for cover to avoid getting hit by the turrets. So I never shot at the turrets. This part did suck, but I just dealt with it. Because the minigun's too strong.
So you did use the minigun in this part?
I did use the minigun at this part. So maybe that's what I was thinking, though. I feel like I did use a mech suit, too, because I thought I used a mech suit at this part as well, but minigun is OD. That's all I gotta say. It's the best gun in the game for me.
So you didn't bother trying to shoot out the lights on this part?
Oh, I mean, I did that, too.
I think most of us abandoned that Right.
I mean, I did it too, mostly like because like the issue that not issue I had, but like you go into a room or down a hallway, and then there's a door, and you open up, and then three dudes on their knees just ready to blast you. So like I tried to shut off the lights in any room I was in before I got to the doorway, so I at least had a little bit of element of surprise.
Wait, I remember that part. Were you not in the mech suit on that part?
I don't know, man. It's a blur now, I guess, because
Like
I thought.
Wait, no,
I remember that part, like where there's, you go into a room and there's three guards on their knees ready to shoot you down. But I was in a mech suit when I got to that part.
I think I was too, but also like I remember using the minigun a lot, so I know when I used the minigun, when it was good, I was not in a mech suit, and when it was bad, I was in a mech suit.
Trevor, you're confusing me again. So, did you have 2 or 3 vehicle
only had
sequences in
2.
your playthrough? Okay. And the one you're talking about right now was early. Okay.
This game is getting good. We got all these. It's like a choose your own path story.
This is where the real puzzle comes in, right?
This game is so good, we don't even remember. It was all a blur.
It's like a telltale game.
We don't sound incoherent at all.
I'm pretty sure this is all minigun part on this part, right? So you're just blowing dudes. you're just mowing dudes down.
I mean, I haven't been to prison, but
you're just mowing dudes down, and then you get to the fuel transport room, which is where you see the fight the heavy guard. And at this point, like I remember, like I was unloading on the heavy guard, and I'm like, why is it? It doesn't seem to be taking any damage or not being affected by this. And then I see these crates being railed over its head, so I start shooting at the crates, and they drop down and explode, and it kills the pilot, I guess. And I'm like, wow, that was so anticlimactic. And then you can hop in the heavy guard suit, and
yeah, I had a pretty easy time with it too, because it was at this point I remembered I had those grenades, and so I just chucked all the grenades at it and took it down easily.
See, I threw all my grenades at it, but they landed like 3 feet in front of it because the grenade reticle was poor. So
there was one?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you're right, actually. Where I thought the grenade was going to go versus where it actually went was like, way different. So
wait, so you can actually kill the mech that way?
You can.
That's strange. Like the real way they wanted you to kill the mech, right?
To shoot the explosive barrels.
Yeah, above it.
Yeah, I shot the explosive barrels. I tried to use the grenade, but I used the explosive barrels instead.
No, I just had a ton of grenades, so I just ended up using all of them. I figured I was supposed to use them earlier.
Either way you do it, you take it out, and now you're in the heavy guard, and this is, like I said, I do not like the heavy guard at all. The movement is god-awful for me, because, like...
Wait, no, not yet. You're not in the heavy guard yet. I thought you can get in
this heavy guard.
Can you?
Well, I thought you could. But you're probably right. Yeah, I think you destroy the heavy guard. You're right. You destroy the heavy guard, and then you go into the next room, and there are you have to take down 2 mech suits to get on the ship, right?
I thought you were about to tell me there was an instance like when I got into the guard clothes.
No. Nah. So then once you're running on this platform to get onto this ship that's on the edge of the dock, and who's to pop up? But it's John's, and after a fist fight, both of them are shot by who is it? Valens. He only meant to hit John's, but Valens ends up getting killed by the guards, and you got this, Trevor. You got this.
Wait. You didn't take the dude's clothes?
Which dude's clothes?
I
think you're joking now.
The dude that was going to pick you up.
Who, Valence?
Yeah, you take his clothes and then you get in the ship, and pretty much it's a flight sequence.
He's lying.
You gotta be messing with me.
He's lying.
It's like, man, this
Okay,
game's got way too many paths. It's like, this is how Mass Effect should have ended.
Yeah.
You got it, Trevor. You got
Carry
it.
on.
But yeah, there's a cutscene after you get to the ship. Both Riddick and Johns get shot, and I guess it's like Hoxie or his guards come in and basically kill Valence, and then they take him and they put him into the triple max area because maximum security the word maximum doesn't mean anything. So now there's a triple max area,
Which still doesn't mean anything, as you'll soon find out.
but this area is actually where inmates are kept in cryo sleep, and this is another nod to like the movies because they put Riddick in cryo sleep every time they transport him, which is basically the only way they can keep him from escaping.
Because he's such a G.
But and there's a pretty cool monologue that he does when he's explaining cryo sleep in Chronicles of Riddick. But in Butcher Bay, when you go into the cryo area, it's pretty much like you're in a cell, but they basically keep you in a box, and every day you have like 2 minutes of exercise, and so it unfreezes you, and you're able to get up and move around, and it'll tell you have 2 minutes of exercise, and then during that 2 minutes, you can first see one guy. I think he's actually like going to sleep while you're waking up, and if you wait the 2 minutes out, it will administer a sedative, and it'll knock you out again. But you actually have to figure out a way to escape the cryo room, and that way is basically waiting until the other guy is about to be sedated and hopping in his cryo box, and then when they pick him up and try to transport him back to, I guess, where they store all the cryo boxes for some reason in a pyramid shape, you do the old switcheroo, and now
that triple maximum security, am I right?
So, but that...
Not only that, this game... So, it assumes that you kill the guard at this point. But I didn't kill the guard. I just went to the thing and hit
Which
Y.
guard?
And then I see the guard passed out as if I had taken
Which
him out.
Which guard?
The one in the room when you're doing all the cryo sleep stuff.
There was a guard in there?
That's another convict.
Yeah?
That's another convict.
Oh, another convict. My bad.
Yeah, I think he gets like
either way, they assume that I killed him.
I think he gets drugged or something like that. Sedated.
But now, yeah. Now you're back in the cryo pyramids, and Riddick basically breaks himself out of it by kicking his cryo box off the top of the pyramid, and it falls and breaks open, and he's able to escape through a hatch. And actually, no, before that. Hey man, I think all these next few chapters are like really short. You can pretty much tell you're at the end game. But yeah, when you're in the pyramid, I guess they noticed that you've escaped, and they send out an alert, and then all of a sudden a bunch of mech suits and heavy guards converge on you through different doors. And so there's 4 pyramids made up of a bunch of cryo boxes in this giant room, and you're basically running around trying to find an opening because you don't have any weapons. And once you're able to, I guess, distract the guards from one area, you can run behind them and sneak through the door. And so at that point, you have to hop into a vent and it tunnels underneath the facility. For some reason, this game has very strict security, but then it's very lax too for there to be like a tunnel like this. But it's also monitored by drones, and these drones are super annoying.
What?
You like the drones?
They went down with one like club shot.
Yeah, they're annoying. I got to one point actually in this game where my club was missing. Like, I felt Marcus's pain when he was talking about how some of the guns are inaccurate. For some reason, my club wasn't hitting.
Yep.
That happened to me.
I was the very first time I went down there, I would be literally point blank with them, and I would swing, and I wouldn't hit them. It wouldn't connect, and then they would do their little shock attack, and I would take damage. So it got to the point where it was like we were dancing, where I would run up at point blank, swing, and then immediately start running backwards to dodge their little electric attack. But yeah, dude, my first 2 times down there, my clubs wasn't hitting. Like, I was swinging and it wasn't hitting anybody. And I was like, what is going on? Or can you not... I thought maybe you couldn't kill those enemies. I thought maybe they were invincible or something like that. But then the third time...
Greg, did you run into this?
No.
Okay.
The third time I went down there, every single one of my club swings connected. And then I was like, oh, I must have hit the right spot or something like that. I didn't understand why... At point blank, my club, it felt like there was a lunge if you stood at a certain distance from them, and then that was a little bit more forgiving than standing at point blank range. Did you notice that, Trevor?
I think the way I actually figured out a consistent way to hit them was to not be too close to the wall.
Gotcha.
Because I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but and I think I noticed that with the guns too. Sometimes the wall would block, the bullets. Even if you could peek around the wall, if you were still too far behind it,
it didn't matter.
Yeah, it would just hit the wall rather than going towards the enemy. So I think that may have been keeping me from connecting with some of the drones. But they're also annoying because they had a real Star Wars-esque, wisecracking robot. I don't know. It was just
personality.
Yeah.
That thing that Riddick does.
Is that why people like Star Wars? Count me out.
I mean,
this dude's like Dan Reichert in freaking Spider-Man versus Batman.
Dude.
Why does he quip all the time? Why is he saying stuff? He should just have one-liners like
the heavy guard AI. You talking about the lines? The lines that the heavy guard says.
You lost me.
Is that what you're talking about, Trevor? What are you talking about? Is the wise?
No, I'm talking about the drones.
The drones talk?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have a very nerdy drone type voice.
Oh, I didn't notice at all, because once you get a gun, you can start just bodying them. So I was taking them out full screen or whatever, and you're slowly getting further and further infiltrating this base, or this prison, and then you eventually get to this corporate office, and that's when you get to pilot the heavy guard. And I thought that's what you were talking about when you were talking about the...
oh, no.
Did you notice the dialogue with the heavy guards AI?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That part I didn't mind as much.
Did you notice it, Dante?
Because it actually gives you hints to improve battle efficiency, save ammunition by trampling enemies or something like that.
It gives you hints, but it's so cornily delivered, and saying you might as well just get out and let somebody else pilot this thing. You're taking too much damage, or something like that. And and on top of that, this vehicle sucks. I hate it. It wasn't fun.
It wasn't that bad.
It was kind of bad.
Like, you could, like, I guess it's because...
Were you having issues with this part?
Yes. I died. I was...
I didn't
That
even
was why
get
you had
hit.
issues with it? Because you died?
Dude, because I couldn't... My cannon, if I aimed my cannon higher than eye level, it always hit me. Always. Like, I could only... So, like, I don't know if you noticed, but you could, like... It's almost like, what do you call it? Like the bipedal robots? Where it's like the bottom legs can move in one direction, but you can be looking... Like, you can rotate the top half. So, like, the only way that I could get the cannon to hit where the yeah, the only way I could get it to hit where I needed to hit was if my legs and my torso were lined up together and I was pointing at eye level. That was the only way I could get it to hit anything. Otherwise, if either those two things were off, or either those three things were off, if it wasn't at eye level, if my torso wasn't pointing in the same direction as my legs, if I shot the cannon, it was hitting me, and I was taking damage. So anytime there was enemies like that hallway you had to go down, and there was those enemies that were behind curtains, and when the curtains were drawn and they started shooting at you, I couldn't, like, I died at that part twice because I couldn't shoot them with my cannon. So like, go ahead.
I was going to say that part I did have an issue with, and it wasn't necessarily because of the difficulty of it, but because I couldn't find a consistent means to regenerate health. Like, I don't know if it regenerated faster if you stood still or if you were moving, or, you know, if it stopped regenerating like while you were shooting or something like that. I don't know. And once I got to that part, it seemed like my health had stopped regenerating, so I moved forward, and of course I got caught in there, and from there they just have a vantage point on you and you can take you down really quickly. But that was my only issue with the heavy guard.
I hated the heavy guard. Go ahead, Dante.
I really just wonder if it's controller versus like keyboard and mouse, but I just didn't have any issue whatsoever.
I think it has to be I honestly think like there was just glitchy parts in my play. I don't know if it's glitchy in my playthrough or what, but like between the bat swinging on those drones and just not connecting, and I died at that part twice. The way the cannon for the heavy unit or the heavy guard, like how that misfired all the time, and even like earlier on in the stealth sequence with that mech, and like it basically doing a patrol route and then just standing still for like 2-3 minutes, where it's like, okay, like it's not doing its patrol route, it's just staring down this hallway. What am I supposed to do? Like, I feel like my game was maybe glitchy or something. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, I don't think that that's how the game was supposed to pan out, how it was intended to be.
Yeah, because if I was taking damage from myself, I definitely didn't notice it.
I was always like super low life because every time I shot my cannon, it hit me. Like I said, unless it was at eye level.
So how did you feel about the boss on this level?
The silence says it all.
Like, let's talk about it. Like, so you take out, like, I mean, you take out all these heavy guards, and honestly, I don't even remember what happens. You just end up in the boss's office. Like, what happens?
Well, no, before that, I'm talking about just the heavy guard boss, or it's kind of like a mini boss. So, at the very end of this sequence, when you're still in the heavy guard, you get to that giant room. I think it's like right before you get to the hangar, or where you get to the it's like a platform with the ship on it, and like right before you get out of your heavy guard, a door opens and another heavy guard comes out.
I don't even remember that.
Well, it's easy to forget it.
I just shot at him.
Yeah,
I shot at him. And I shot at him.
Most of the like heavy mechs get stun locked the second you shoot
well,
at them.
They made it seem like it was gonna be a big deal because of how it entered, but it ended up just being like a regular enemy.
Yeah, it's pretty whatever. Like,
And that's kind of
I
how a
don't know.
lot of the, I guess,
All the
mini
bosses.
bosses felt. They just felt like regular enemies, like you fought enemies like this before, so fighting this one doesn't seem like that much of a big deal, and it's not really memorable.
I feel like the only memorable encounters in this game, quote unquote boss wise, was the first time you fight Abbott, because you are fighting a gunfight with a smart AI, except for the fact that he's sitting beside explosive barrels. But like the fight against Rust is just hand to hand combat. It's no different than fighting anybody else. The second fight with Abbott, no different than fighting anybody else with hand to hand. This heavy mech, because I just watched what you're talking about. I was like, oh yeah, like I didn't even realize that was a sub boss or mini boss or whatever. It just felt like a regular AI. And then the last boss, which is like completely different than anything you fought before. So like to me, it's like the first Abbott fight, I guess, and then the last fight. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
The first time you take down a mech suit, which I think is the only time you have to actually kill one.
The one where you have to shoot the
Yeah.
tank?
The one where you're stuck in that like cargo.
Okay, yeah, you have to shoot the tank and drop it. But like it's okay, I'll give you that too. But yeah, like the other fights are just like they don't seem like special encounters or anything. They feel no different than like the normal fight enemies you fight. So, but yeah, like talk about getting into this
Oh, this
office,
wrap
the
up.
warden's office. Yeah, let's wrap this up, please.
So yeah, after Riddick takes down the heavy guard, John shows up, and they get into another ship. I forget where the ship was. Like I know it was on like a platform outside of that big door. Because like as soon as that door opens up, you hop out of the heavy guard suit and you run out of it, and then the cutscene starts. So I think you just kind of hop on the ship. But yeah, Johns and Riddick are on the ship, and you think they're just gonna escape, but Riddick has other ideas in mind, and he knocks out Johns, and he pilots the ship. He basically makes a U-turn, and man, I should have written down the dialogue that he uses. What he says like right before it happens.
Allah Akbar.
But he basically does a U-turn with the ship and drives it straight into Hoxie's office, like through his window. And Riddick hops out, and then a cutscene occurs. I don't think anything really happens in the cutscene besides Hoxie.
Dude pleads for his life for a while.
Yeah, he does, because he's behind his desk.
Yeah. And then he hits like a panic button, and it zips him up into like this safe room that kind of locks him in. And then it reveals these two enemies that are like they look like some type of
You know those racist Transformers in Transformers 2?
Yeah.
They're kind of like
They
that.
look like small Transformers.
I was gonna say, are they any different than the Vanquish bosses? The last two bosses in Vanquish, remember you fight those two enemies that go invisible?
Those were cool.
I mean... but I mean, like, isn't it the same concept?
They
I
don't
guess.
fly.
I mean...
If you took all the gameplay out and just changed it with, like, shooting lights.
Okay, alright, well, yeah. So, basically you start in the back of this room, like... I have written down my notes. He flew a plane into a building and it got stuck. And then I just drew like a stone face. And I was just like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know. It's weird and movie and whatever, like it's video games. But it was just really weird. It was also really weird that Johns was like, hey Riddick, I know I'm picking you up and we're going to get out of here, but I'm really just going to take you to another prison to make more money because I haven't got paid yet. And like what you mean, like how are you just going to turn your back on this guy that's escaping prison and did it single-handedly, and then you're just going to be like, I hope you're cool with going to a new prison. This one sucks, right? Haha. Like, what?
Hey, he's the
Like,
homing pigeon.
Like, it's just up and down. Everybody is incompetent. Up and down. Across the board. But now you start this fight. And it's like, to your right is a shotgun. You have no guns at this point. So to your right is a shotgun. Sorry. To your right is a shotgun. To your left is a minigun that you can pick up. And then there's two of these robots that are unloading. They have miniguns of their own that they can shoot at you. And then what they basically do is they shoot at you, stop shooting, go invisible, and then you can't see them. So, like, the way I ended up doing this was shooting out the lights and then just crouch walking around until one popped up. Like, I accidentally ran into one. It would pop up, and then it would always have the jump on me. Because, it just... I never knew, like, you could hear the sound effect of it appearing, but you didn't necessarily know where it was appearing from, so I'd have to do a quick, 180 or, 360 or whatever to figure out where it's at, and you just hope that you could outgun it and rinse and repeat. Like, to me, there was no strategy or, I didn't understand, what you were supposed to do in this
When
fight.
executed properly, this is like a minute-long fight.
Yes, but I died a bunch of times because I didn't turn I didn't rotate the camera fast enough to track the thing, and I didn't have enough life for the second boss with the strategy I was doing. So, but it was just I tried to hide out behind cover and not move, and the dude never showed up. So it was it seemed like the only way I could get it to show up if I was moving around and out in the open. And it's just I don't understand what the point of this fight is. Or not the point, but it just wasn't, it stood out. It was a memorable fight, but not for the right reasons. It was oh, this fight is kind of whatever.
It's kind of jank.
Yeah, and at least we had the minigun, so I didn't necessarily have to worry about my gun not hitting the person I'm shooting at. But it was also just oh, I hope my minigun... I'd be on the last boss with a smidgen of life back, or left, and then we'd just get into a minigun war, and the first one of us drops loses. And that was it. So I died 3 or 4 times just getting into a minigun battle with the enemy. And then me dying first, losing my life first. And that was my time in this game.
So I had a tough time with this boss. And not because of the difficulty, but because I kind of screwed myself over. Before you get into the heavy guard suit, there is a nanomed station. I opted not to use that nanomed station before hopping in the heavy guard suit, even though I only had 1 bar of health left. And you do not get to use another heavy med or nanomed station after that scene. That is your last chance. And so I thought this was going to be the end of the game. As soon as I hop out the heavy guard, I'm hopping on the ship and I'm getting out of here.
You thought.
But as soon as this sequence starts, it does not give you any more health. It starts you off with however much health you had before you got into the heavy guard suit. And so I was basically starting this sequence with 1 bar of health. And I died maybe 5 times or however many times it takes before the game feels sorry for you. And it gives you another health bar. But after that, you're kind of on your own. It doesn't give you a third one or a second extra health bar.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either, but I guess I died that many times trying to do this boss battle with only 1 health bar.
That was nice of them.
Yeah, but like you said, whenever you get into a firefight with one of these, because I was using the minigun, and whenever you get into a
I was gonna say a shootout.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. When you lock eyes with one of the bosses, and you start to draw your weapon, whoever shoots first, you could still get hits on the enemy, but you're gonna take damage. And because I only had 1 bar of health, I immediately would take damage, even though I would get some decent damage on the boss.
He would just have too much more life.
Exactly. And so having that second health bar kind of helped. But when I realized it wasn't going to give me a third health bar for dying, I kind of had to use an exploit. And in the back of the room, or the opposite side of the room from where you spawn in, or not spawn in, but where you crash into the room.
When you hop out the airplane.
Yeah. There's like a little nook that you can get into.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of hid back there and waited until the bosses would appear in front of that doorway, and then I would just light them up.
See, I did that too when I stood in that nook, but they never popped up. So I had to creep out and like along the wall in order for them.
Oh, I just
to
pop my head out.
Oh, see, they never showed up. They never showed up.
And I didn't even have to shoot out the lights. Like, I just shot them out for fun, but...
Then that might... Oh, okay, I was going to say, I only shot it out so that way I could sneak around without being, in my head, seen. Because I noticed when I wasn't shooting out the lights and crouching out in the open, I was still getting lit up.
Could they not see in the dark? That seems like a huge flaw for something that is man-made.
Not as well, at least.
Not as well. They didn't have HDMI back then, man.
Back then... This is the
Didn't
future.
have HDR. That's what they need to do. They need to release a Chronicle of Riddick remaster with HDR so you can actually see something.
Yeah. That'd be
That's
nice.
what Greg needs.
And I guess it also didn't help I was playing on my monitor and not like my actual nice TV, but...
I feel like a monitor should be brighter than a TV.
I think it has to be your color settings. Maybe your darks are real dark and your lights are not.
Maybe the game's just bad.
I mean, that also could be.
Game sucks.
I'm just joking. This game's okay.
So, what do you guys think about the last boss?
Whack.
It is, Like, after I figured out to shoot out the lights, it really wasn't that big of an issue. And I wasn't running into the thing where I was really trading damage with the thing I was shooting at. It was more like the other dude shooting at me while I was killing the other guy. So, in my successful run, I shot the one dude, probably had like half of my health, and then pretty much I just had to make sure I shot first on the next dude. And that was really all there was to it.
I mean, so like... Is it basically the same thing? Like you guys, it's memorable, but it's also just like whatever.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even call it memorable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like if you ask me what happens in this game in, I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks, I'm gonna be like, what? I played that?
Okay.
Not gonna lie, this is like easily probably my least favorite game of everything we played so far.
Okay. Huh?
Hey man, you don't have to stab Trevor. That's kind of messed up.
No.
I
heard what he said.
A lot of shanks and stuff.
I heard what he said. He said he enjoyed Brothers more than this.
Why do y'all hate Starbreeze so much?
I don't hate Starbreeze. I just have a feeling that me and Starbreeze are compatible, bro.
Can we rank the Starbreeze games that we've done so far?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, so what's everybody's number one?
Brothers.
Syndicate.
So all right.
What about you, Dante?
All right, so we got 2 Syndicates and a Brothers, and what was the other one?
Dante, what would you say?
Syndicate.
3 Syndicate.
Oh, so 3 Syndicate.
What's number
yeah.
2? Brothers.
I'd probably go. Ooh, that's like a tie. That is.
Do you like stealth games or do you like puzzle games?
You're asking me which child is my least favorite child, and they both are.
Do you like stealth games or do you like puzzle games? It's easy.
No, I take that back. This game will probably end up being like 13 out of 17 or whatever.
Well, we're just talking about of the Starbreeze stuff. We're not even talking about...
Yeah, but I'm saying like Brothers is 17 out of 17.
Oh, okay. So you're saying this game, and then Trevor, what do you say?
Just gotta think about it.
Syndicate versus Butcher Bay.
Man, there was
You're not going to surprise us, man.
I didn't like about Syndicate. Like, the multiplayer turned it around, but there was a lot I didn't like about Syndicate.
Okay.
That implies you liked most of this game.
Yeah, I mean, there were some good experiences in this game.
The real question is, Bionic Commando or Escape from Butcher Bay?
I mean, the choice is obvious. I mean, there's only one real answer.
It's funny because Dante said Brothers is his lowest ranked game, and I pulled up the list, and he has it above Bionic Commando.
You know what? I kind of see. This is in that exact same space where it's like a couple weeks from now, I'm not going to remember a thing that happened in this game.
When Dante says like this is like a B, like the epitome of a B game, or just like. I thought about this game and then Bionic Commando, and I was like, dang, like, I guess technically they are probably the same, but Bionic Commando just touches me so much more than Butcher Bay. Even though Butcher Bay, like, I feel like Butcher Bay does things or has, like, dreams of grandeur, like, kind of like how Beyond Good and Evil kind of did, where it's like, we want to do all these things, and I don't think it's fully successful at the things it does. But at least with Beyond Good and Evil, like, it's kind of endearing to me. Where this game, it isn't. Like, the flaws are more ugly to me for some reason. So, like, I don't think it's any better or worse than Beyond Good and Evil. But I just had a lot more fun with, like, Beyond Good and Evil, a lot more fun with Bionic Commando than I did with this game.
Beyond Good and Evil's a better game.
I mean,
Butcher Bay. Like, it has a soul.
Yeah, got soul.
I don't know. Like, I feel like this game, like, this is my least favorite Starbreeze game, and I would say overall I'm not a Starbreeze fan from what I've played of them, but like,
in other words, this is going above Ninja Gaiden on your list. We understand. And Metal Gear Rising.
Payday 2 below on the
well,
bottom.
we're talking about the games we played. We're talking about the games we played.
I thought you just meant any Starbreeze games that you played.
No. Just the games we played for this show. So I don't know. Like I think Butcher Bay tries. I think that like we're also maybe looking at it from a 2018 lens. Like, you know, like these are like the map stuff. Like maybe that was like how things were back then. I don't really know. Like, I don't know. The stealth stuff, I mean, I don't know. It's okay. I mean, it was the second half of the stuff was better than I thought it would be. But overall, like, I still don't care for combat at all. And as far as stealth for me, like this stuff in the cryo, like that cryo pyramid stuff, like if there's nothing to hide behind, but I don't have any weapons, that's not stealth. That's just like me being a mouse. Like, it's like cat and mouse at that point. And that's not stealth to me. That's just like manipulating, like, that's almost like a puzzle. And that's not fun for me.
Well, in that case, you should have loved Brothers.
I mean, in comparison, like just thinking my first playthrough of Brothers, like, I really enjoyed Brothers. It was the second playthrough that I kind of was like, oh, well, this stuff isn't really that fun. So, I don't know.
I was just kind of capitalizing on you.
Yeah, I know. One other nitpick, just since we're complaining about this game right now, I know in my head I understand why this happens, but it never became like, I was never okay with it. When you go from being in eyeshine mode and you you climb up a ladder and it takes you out of eyeshine mode.
I hated that
to
too.
show you Riddick climbing up the ladder, and then you go back into eyeshine mode and you have no idea what you're looking at. Like, it was so frustrating. Like it was just like, I get it that like technically I should only see an eyeshine when I'm in first person, but like you could have made this concession so that way I know what I'm looking at when I get like it felt like I was always at a disadvantage if I climbed up a ladder even in darkness with eyeshine, because I was just like, it never helped me out.
Okay, so this is something that bugged me, and I kind of forgot that it bugged me up until now. But was anybody expecting to get, like, a secondary power? Like, you'd have, like, the bright eye shine, and then you'd have, like, a, I don't know, infrared eye shine at some point?
I wasn't expecting it.
Because that seemed like such an obvious thing to do in a stealth game.
The thing that I was expecting was some type of ability. Like, the only time he got to use his little yell was, like, in that cutscene. And it was like, she said unlock your power, and then he does that yell, and then that's the only time it even, like, happens again.
At this point, too, in the Riddick franchise, he still isn't fully aware of, like, his Furion powers. Or even that he's, like, or even understand what being a Furion means.
I don't know. And then this is another stupid thing, like, I got really annoyed at the last boss dying a couple times, because I was like, man, like, I just really have to really just get in a firefight with this and just out DPS this freaking these mechs. So at one point, I, like, put the controller down and I went to, I was, like, on the wiki guide to try to just read what I had to do, and I forgot to pause it. And my character literally lived longer with my, like, I wasn't touching the controller. I put the controller on the ground, and my character lived longer not moving than it did when I was playing.
John Cena.
I don't understand. Like, I didn't shoot out the lights, and, like, I did it 2 lives where I was like, dang, it lasted a long time with me not moving. So then I let it run a second time, and, like, it literally was like, it was so stupid. It was so stupid. Even the enemy mech guns are bad. They're inaccurate. Combat, so bad, so bad. It's like, if it wasn't for Ninja Gaiden and those games just being, like, not my type of game, like, I prefer the combat in those games to this game. But I think I overall like this game more than I liked those games. There's, like, more redeeming stuff for me in this game, with just I like the prison environment. I like the idea of that, and I like the stealth stuff. But combat is so much better in those other 2 games, and I like the environments in Ninja Gaiden and the enemy variety in Ninja Gaiden a lot more.
The AI.
Yeah, the AI is better in Ninja Gaiden as well.
Just mechanically, the game is just kind of, like, super dated, and there's not enough redeeming things around the theme, the story, or anything else.
Okay, we'll finish and knock this out. Okay, so after you defeat those robots, Hoxie surrenders. Riddick receives the codes to Hoxie's ship, and Riddick and Johns escape disguised as a guard and prisoner. And they hire, or I guess guards see that Riddick is in the warden's office, so they go in, and Hoxie is bound and covered in Riddick's former, like, clothes, like his clothes, and they put his little goggles over his face, and they gag him, and they mistake him for Riddick.
Looney Tunes behind game.
They mistake him for Riddick and shoot him up and kill him. Meanwhile, Riddick and Johns are on his ship escaping, ending the game. So, 2 things. One,
what a great ending.
It was a pretty, like, movie ending. It was fine. I liked it.
Come on, man.
Was this ending... Do you prefer this ending or the ending in Bionic Commando?
The ending in Bionic Commando almost did...
was tight.
It almost didn't seem
tight.
like it belonged.
It was tight. He put the grenade in his mouth and he kicked him off the platform. It was tight.
Oh, wait, you're talking about that ending. I thought you were talking about the one where he
zip flying on top of the angel things. That too. You can throw that in there too. But yeah, like...
And his dead wife being his arm.
Hey, spoilers. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't dislike the ending. It was okay. Like... It seemed like the norm for this character. How corny his lines were, like this ending was going to be, like, kind of cheesy, cinematic.
we're just gonna hand wave him putting on like Riddick goggles, like halfway putting on Riddick goggles and them all mistaking dude for Riddick.
He's got a gun on him.
He did shoot out all the lights in there.
Yeah, remember?
I don't think that cutscene.
No,
the cutscene was lit, the lights were on.
Just open and shut case, Johnson.
It was lit.
The first inconsistency.
The
in this
ending
game
was lit. You're right.
I see what you did there.
Hey, he pulled a Riddick.
What you think?
The ending was lit.
There was one point in this game, somebody said something like, I'm starting to see this whole Riddick thing as a major problem for you guys. This is over like the intercom. So he can hear it. And he's like, now shut down the power. He ain't going to be able to see a thing. And it's like, what? What do you think he's been doing this entire time? Like, and I was just...
What makes you think you can see a thing?
I just have written down like twice. I was like, this whole facility is so understaffed and incompetently run. I was like, it doesn't matter how many maxes, single, double, triple, office max, like it don't matter. Riddick is going to be out.
It almost seems like it would have been harder for him to stay at some point.
This is what Riddick does, guys. He is an escapist.
All right. Well, I guess
he's a genius.
The only question, or there's two questions. So overall, how do you feel about this game, Dante? I mean, we've been hinting at it.
This is kind of complex.
Yeah, we've been hinting at it, but like, we might as well just get all your thoughts out now.
Gameplay-wise, I think it is better than I expected it to be, especially in the second half. Everything else is, well, graphically, it's decent. Actually, it's really good for its time now that I think about it. But gameplay and graphics aside, I didn't really care for this game at all. I do think the stealth gameplay is pretty good, even though the AI could do a lot better job of not sticking to the same patterns and, I'm guessing, like, offer more variety in general. But I am very Riddick neutral.
Okay. All right, Greg, how about you?
I hated it, but it's mostly just because, like, I feel like the gameplay isn't very fun. It doesn't change up that much, other than they add stealth. But I feel like they don't give you enough tools to navigate stealthily all the time. As far as, I guess maybe they do for the shadows. I mean, but like we were saying earlier, you do run into some times where you don't really have the shadows that you can use, and it's kind of a pain. I mean, I really don't know what else to say other than I really didn't enjoy it.
All right. I kind of like what I said. I hated combat in this game. I dug the environment, just the prison setting, and I like the quote-unquote, like, multiple paths and openness that the prison environment allows you to have. I liked meeting the different characters and, like, all that. I enjoyed the stealth stuff that when you had a weapon and shadows. I didn't necessarily enjoy it when it was like, get from this point to this point and don't be spotted. But if you're spotted, then try to take them out. And there's not any shadows or anything like that. I didn't really enjoy those sequences, and I hated, I guess, the vehicle sequences, and I cannot state enough how much I hated the combat in this game. But overall, like kind of what Dante said, I think the graphics for this game are pretty good for the age of the game, and I also think the lighting in this game is really good as well. So, yeah, it's I think it's, like I said, I think it's like as Dante would say, this is a B game. It just, unfortunately, some of the things that I like in games, like combat and stuff, isn't necessarily as fun in this game as it is in some of the other B games. So it's maybe on the lower end of B games for me than some of the other games. What about you, Trevor?
I loved it. I can't wait to play Assault on Dark Athena.
Did you start it at all?
No, I haven't started it yet.
So I started it after playing this game, and I just kind of wanted to see what the difference was. And I started it, and I picked up immediately after where this game ends. And the controls are the same. You have eye shine from the jump. Everything is the same. And I maybe played it for about 30 minutes, and I just kind of was just like, I don't really want to continue to do this right now. So I stopped playing. I think...
And started up Cook Serve Delicious too.
I think my thing with it, though, is I was playing this game for the story alone. And like I said, if it weren't for this podcast, I probably wouldn't even, attempted to play this game. Like, I knew about it, and as much as I love Riddick, I wanted to play it, but because it was labeled as like a stealth game, and I'm not really big on stealth games, I wouldn't have even touched it.
Do you feel like it was improperly labeled, or do you just feel like, hey, I can get down with stealth more than I thought, or how did you think that happened?
If other stealth games are like this, I probably still wouldn't play them. Like, I didn't really...
It was solely the story and character that kept you playing them?
Yeah. Like,
okay,
I don't know.
So you didn't really care for this.
This type of gameplay takes me out of my comfort zone. That's pretty much why I was asking you, like, how this compares to, like, other stealth games. Because I haven't played too many of them. But I don't know. It's just... At a lot of points, it's very slow-paced. And...
I'm sure Greg is having the same aneurysm I am right now, just like thinking about all the stuff he's missing out in Metal Gear and just sneaking around in a cardboard box and putting out Playboy magazines for people to like stumble upon so you can sneak past them.
And that's probably why I've never played any Metal Gear games except for Metal Gear Rising.
The bad one. I mean the bad one. A bad one.
The least Metal Gear game of all of them. But I don't know. It was good. I mean, I enjoyed the game. I do want to play the other game now that I've kind of gotten my feet wet.
Sure. And then I guess really the last question is, do you see why this game, and this was something that I wanted to ask last episode, but do you see why this game is considered a great movie game, or
do
you understand
because it's not bad?
I could see why at the time, because if you look at a lot of the things they did with kind of just the graphics and I guess the game does have kind of a open feel to it. And I think there is a little bit of I guess kind of open-endedness as far as how you handle situations. But at the same time, with like the regressions that's been made in games in general, like it feels super dated at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could see why it felt ahead of its time, but now it feels like it's a product of its time. Where it's just like, oh, this was something that they were doing back then. This is something they were doing back then. But oh, I could see why this thing and this thing were like things that other games weren't really doing, or it was just becoming in vogue. So like, I understand why it was held at such high regard. And also, like, kind of like, I know Dante doesn't necessarily like the Riddick character, but, like, he, to me, from what I remember at that time period, he definitely fits in with, like, the edgy, edgelord character tropes that were, like, in games. I mean, they were still in games in the mid-2000s, you know, that kind of character. So he kind of fits in. Not that he's edgy, but like just like this swarminess of the character.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not your cup of tea, but like, I
wouldn't even say that. I just don't think he's well written. It's like when they rebooted Prince of Persia with the darker, what was it, Warrior Within or whatever. Everybody criticized that for good reason because it wasn't good. I don't think Riddick is very interesting.
Gotcha. What about you, Trevor?
Did I think, or do I understand?
Do you
why?
understand, or do you, understand why it was held in such not yet high regard? Why it was considered one of the best movie tie-in games? And I guess really, does that make you hopeful?
I think because
I
one, it was like I said, it wasn't bad. It's not a bad game. Like, despite the movie, it's a playable game, and it's not like an adaptation of the movie. They didn't try to retell the same story or try to fit something into the middle of the movie, like tie it in as like a I don't know, basically try to capitalize on the promotion of the movie to try to sell a game, which is what a lot of video game adaptations do. Is they basically just hop on the tail end of all the movie promotions to make a quick buck. But this game actually, told an essential part of the Riddick story.
All right, gotcha. So you heard it here first, folks. Chronicles of Riddick. It's fine.
Worst Starbreeze game.
Yeah, we're all over the place on this one. Trevor really likes it. I think me and Dante see the flaws in it. I think I'm a little. I don't know. I think we're kind of we like different things about it. And then Greg's like, "Nah, this game sucks." So it's all good. We're all over the place with this game.
Before we conclude, I gotta ask Greg, have you played Payday 2?
Okay, no, I have not. I'll say that much. So maybe I have to play that before I can.
So Riddick, Riddick is the worst Starbreeze game that we've played, and not necessarily the worst Starbreeze game.
No, just the worst that we've played. Yeah.
Trevor's like, I'll take that. But you need to plug in that. You need to plug in that Payday 2, dog.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, right.
This Walking Dead,
the second
this
worst.
Walking Dead game that they're working on. I don't know.
Could have a hot mess on our hands.
Rick's not in it.
All right. Well, do you have a question, Dante?
Yes. So I decided to flip the question from last week of instead of what was the movie you'd want to be turned into a game, what is the game you'd want to be turned into a movie?
The one thing that came to mind was already a movie, or already got made into a movie, but
I've got one, but they've already made it into a movie, and they did a horrible job, which is Assassin's Creed.
I was gonna say Max Payne. That was the one I had high hopes for, and then it just ended up being horrible. But I'd be cool with, and I guess this is kind of like a cop out, I guess. But I was gonna say having an Alan Wake movie would have been cool, but I guess it's gonna be a TV series now. So. And
it kind of already was half a movie.
Yeah.
What you got, Dante? What you think?
Man, it's a good question. So I'm looking at my game shelf right now, and I do think, just off the top of my head, God of War would make a pretty good movie. I think Dead Space would make for an interesting movie. And what's a game? Shadow of the Colossus. That would be pretty interesting. Albeit, I don't think that would make a perfect movie.
When I think of this question, I think of games that are stylish, and I would just want them to be stylish movies in a sense.
So you're gonna say Hotline Miami?
No, that's not one. I was thinking. I mean, that could be a cool movie, but I was thinking something along the lines of I mean, granted, it's an animation, but Catherine could have been cool, as a movie, a full-on anime. I guess technically it was, right?
Wait,
Catherine?
What? Catherine, okay.
That could be a cool movie.
That'd be a good one for live action.
I think Phoenix Wright, even though it's a manga, I think that could be a cool. I guess it would have to be a TV show, huh? Because you could.
So you know, there is a Phoenix Wright movie and an anime.
I knew there was an anime, but I didn't know there was a TV or movie.
There is a live action. I don't think it was ever brought over, but.
And then, one that I've always wanted, obviously, was a huge Halo fan, But Halo, I was always super hype. They did like the animated, I think something of the Dawn or New Hope, or I don't remember what it was, but they did that.
Until Dawn. No.
And then they, I've read the books. Like I was super into Halo, so I read the books. So like an origin Halo story, like about the training that the kids underwent before they became Spartans would have been really cool. And I was always hopeful that they would put out a Halo movie, but they never did. And I think it's too grand a universe, but I think that a Mass Effect movie would be cool, or series, trilogy or something. But I think there's just too much that they would have to skip over.
It ended up being like Star Trek.
I was going to say it would be, well, that would be cool, but I would just say like it could be like Harry Potter, where like people are like, yeah, the movies are fine, but the books are better because the books have all this other stuff, and like I just don't know what you would like put in a mainline Mass Effect movie, like what you would deem as like, well, we won't even mention this stuff because that's not pertinent to the canon story, because there's just so much stuff that you just get unloaded on you when you play Mass Effect that I can't imagine it not being mentioned in the movie at all. Or people's only, like, knowledge of Mass Effect universes through the movie and not through the games. So, let's wrap this up, man. We talked way longer for this game than
it deserves.
That's what happens when you talk about good games. They run long.
Greg, we got any questions?
No emails this week, but you guys know the deal. You can hit us up at misscheckpoints@gmail.com with any questions, or if you just want to discuss what game, the game we're playing for this month. So, yeah, just hit us up there.
All right. Where can people find you at, Greg?
You can find me on Twitter at Boombox Hero, on Facebook at Boombox Hero, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/xdrdmagnegrox.
All right. What about you, Dante?
People can find me streaming at twitch.tv/awakencloud. Right now I'm playing through Spider-Man and also Kingdom Hearts 2.
All right. And what about you, Trevor? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Lyric Unsung. PlayStation Network, Lyric Unsung. Xbox Live, Lyric Unsung. Same thing for Twitch, Mixer.
But you got anything you streaming?
I've streamed the first episode of The Walking Dead final season. I don't know if there's anything else I really want to stream.
Okay. Not Dark Athena?
I don't know if I can, because it's on 360 and the only streaming I do is through I do Twitch on PlayStation Network, and then I use Mixer on Xbox Live.
It's not backwards compatible?
I've been playing on my 360.
Oh.
Okay. And you can find me on PSN, occasionally playing Overwatch. PSN is La Ensalada de Papa, no spaces. Yeah, that's where you can find me this time. I've been playing a little bit more Overwatch this weekend. Trying not to play as much Cook Serve Delicious. Hopefully I'll continue that on for the next 2 weeks. So we have a slight change of plans. We are still going to be playing the games that we said previously. So those games are, for the month of October, will be the second place fan choice game, and that will be The Evil Within, Detroit Become Human, Trevor's game in November, Dead Cells, Dante's game in December, Doom, the 2016 version, that's Greg's game in January, and then Psychonauts, my game in February. But we are going to give The Evil Within a month to itself, I guess you could say, or almost to itself. So our next episode is going to be a bonus episode, and we don't even know what game it's going to be right now. So ideally what we're going to do is it's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode, probably only going to feature 2 of us, maybe 3, but not the full squad. And it will be like a maybe under 5-hour game or something like that, and they'll try to cover that in a shorter span of time. Like I said, it's going to be less people, so hopefully that we can keep it to an hour and a half at most. So we are going to figure out what game we're going to play after this show, and maybe we can post an announcement or something like that, but stay tuned for that. And hopefully
we should also get the new banner up.
Yeah, and hopefully if you guys like that, or I don't know if we'll get any feedback, but maybe we'll start doing some bonus episodes every now and then. I think for this time we kind of using it for, long story short, I wanted The Evil Within second episode to be released closer to Halloween, so we needed to add a extra gap week in there, and I figured, like, why not, instead of taking a week off, we just do a shorter game, something that we wouldn't otherwise cover. So I think that's what we're going to do. So be on the lookout on our Twitter, or not Twitter, on our Facebook page to see what the game is. And do we have anything else? Any other announcements? Okay, well, with that, we are Missed Checkpoints, and we're out. Peace.